because you weren't sure before.
I know, right?
You never know.
Identity crisis.
I mean, you are Italian though. You are, you know. I don't know what's PC to say. I was gonna say Guido, but I don't know if that's appropriate anymore.
Guinea, WAP, any of that stuff. I get it.
Yeah, it's true. Anyone else? Mel, how's your game going?
Uh, good. I almost killed them last week because I forgot they were still only level 3 instead of level 4. But this week it was pretty good. Hobgoblins, lots of RP, and they were left with an encounter with a Kodal, because the Furbolg cleric of Melora decided to be crafty and say, I'm gonna use my druid craft stuff to like talk to the trees and let me get advantage on my sneaking because I'm wearing heavy armor. I said, you know what, go for it. He rolled double ones.
Nice.
So as he was walking through the trees, he was sneaking, except every tree he passed, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah.
Cool. Well, hopefully it's going well. Hopefully your players are enjoying themselves.
I'm fucking with a good number of them, so it's fantastic. My rogue's paranoid about assassins. My bard just realized that the thing that killed her mother may not have been benign, and the warlock's patron keeps kind of showing up in his dreams, and he doesn't understand it yet. Oh, and a demoness is haunting my monk.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Okay. Anyone else interesting, new or exciting things that anyone would like to share?
My niece is in town. That's pretty fun. She's 4.
Oh, did she drove the whole way?
Yep.
Nice. Yeah.
Now our parents just put her in a box, sent her on a plane, and.
Oh yeah, just write Abu Dhabi on it. Yeah, just cut a hole in the box. I'm sure she'll be fine. Is she staying with you?
Well, she's staying with my parents who live close, and I mean, my brother is in town too, so. But she's pretty cool.
Oh.
It's fun hanging out with her.
I was legitimately assuming that you came by yourself, like without her parents, but
No,
you know.
not.
Well, sometimes you just got to ship
Not
your
quite
kids.
that. She's not quite that self-reliant yet.
You got to just sometimes ship your kids off. Oh shit.
Did you forget where you shipped your kids off to?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I shipped my kids off, and then they never came home, and I was very happy about it. No, I was opening a pop, and it started to fizz. I thought it was going to explode on me, but it didn't. So. Cool. Anyone else? Interesting, new, exciting, mundane.
Protesters suck.
I mean, I suppose that depends on what they're protesting, doesn't it?
Poverty.
People are protesting poverty?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to New York.
I mean...
The quote-unquote war on poverty.
Wait, people are protesting the war on poverty? Or... Wait, what? You know what?
Yeah, that's kind of our point, but they gridlocked the entire city for like 2 hours, and we had to, like, the cops made us turn around on one-way streets. A public transport bus had to make a 3-point turn on a narrow one-way street. Because these fuckers just kept migrating to block wherever the police were routing traffic.
So they're protesting, like, homeless people, or protesting
taxes,
like,
and things like that.
Okay.
The minimum wage thing and.
Like I can see the people protesting for a higher wage, but like the protesting, that's a weird way to word it.
That's what their sign said.
The war on poverty, or the like fight for 15.
Neither. No. Their signs. I should note. I walked up to these people to see what the hell was going on before I realized they were intentionally blocking traffic. End poverty was about 3/4 of the signs. There was no actual message of pass a $15 minimum wage or fix unemployment. It was just make us not poor.
Weird. Okay. Well, that's a thing.
That's the simple fix.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I think we should get started. Who is going to recap?
I believe I did it last week.
I think you did.
I think we're back at the top of the order. I can do it.
Go for it.
All right. Last session started with us escorting the saved prisoners from the tower back to the glade. We were following Darina, who was some type of spiritual leader of the Fae. If there was a better description of her, I didn't get it.
Mila.
We were informed of someone named, I think, Kali Raja, who was an Eladrin, also known as the River King, who had taken control of Kota Senja. Darina told us that we needed to find Talvin, and gave us some other information about a hag and had stolen children that possibly held secrets that we could use as well. We were repeatedly told that we weren't strong enough to take on these missions, which is a common theme. We decided to head northeast anyway in search of Talvin. Aglaya had escorted us for a few days, and the foliage started to turn dark, shades of gray, murky water. Aglaya informed us that we were coming up on the hag's territory. We came across an opening in the forest, which led to this decayed village, rotten huts, buildings. It was surrounded by what appeared to be a beautiful woman who was singing to a group of children. I think it was Giselle saw through the illusion, realized that it was indeed the hag. After some discussion, the group decided to take a diplomatic approach and sent Gabriel out to meet her head on. Upon approaching, he noticed that the children were clearly emaciated, malnourished, very sickly. He began speaking to the hag. After some very innocent flirting, the hag revealed herself to be Annalise. Not that that led anywhere, because Gabriel charmed her afterwards, sending the children away, and a fight ensued shortly after. The hag tried to call the children back in an attempt to shield herself, and the party members tried desperately to keep them away from the fight the whole time. The hag eventually died in flames, courtesy of Faith, and one of the children did escape, jumped on her back, burst into flames. After the fight, the party gathered the rest of the children. Aglaya expressed that the 4 remaining children were corrupted. They were too far gone. She didn't want to bring them back to town. The rest of the party disputed that, insisted on bringing them back to Tahira's village. The children didn't fare well during the travel. They were weak. They cried often. Aglaya refused to sleep while the children were in camp with us. Faith attempted to use music to soothe the children with mixed results. After about 4 days, one of the children went through a transformation, basically turned into a darkling, and then it attacked us. Giselle used her hypnotic gaze to stop the child while Marcus tied it up and beat it unconscious. And we started getting ready to camp when we heard a ground shaking, loud sound, which sounded like a large animal that was moving through the woods nearby. Meanwhile, a large pack of what were described as raptors basically started running through the camp, and that's where we ended.
Okay.
That's about it.
Yeah. Does
Oh
any?
god, I forgot about the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone? That's not how you spell that word.
Well, this is gonna be for polymorph later.
Does Is there anything else that anyone needs to add that they feel is relevant here?
I don't think it was me that saw through the illusion, but I can't
saw
remember
through
who
it.
it was. Yeah.
Okay,
it was
Faith.
Because
Faith.
I used minor illusion to show everybody else what was there.
That's right. That's right.
But Marcus recognized it was the same thing we saw at Haven Arc.
Haven Arc, yeah.
Because, you know, he was the one who kept trying to get hugged by it.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you guys left off. The fuck.
T-Rex was charging us, I believe.
No,
No.
that's not quite.
We
That
didn't know what
That's-
the
It's
large
the. It was described as if there was a glass of water, it would have been the.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
the raptors were running past you.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
running from, not running to. and there's something big that would be making the.
Oh,
rippling.
no. I mean, you actually get the impression that the raptors are running too.
Oh, they're running
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Okay.
they were running towards the large
They're running
zone.
Yes.
Remember that.
Oh, toward. Okay. I thought you said they were running
Toward
from
the sound and the
Okay.
vibration, yeah.
Yeah, but they weren't running like at us.
Yeah.
No, they pointedly ran through your camp to get to whatever was making that sound or that ruckus. So yeah, you guys have this bound and unconscious darkling in your possession, as well as these other children. And yeah, these raptors. Now I don't recall. Hopefully someone else does. What time of day this was? I feel like this was late at night.
It
were
was
just about to
first
camp.
watch. I think it was
Yeah.
during first watch. But yeah, in terms of time of day, same time as all time and
Yeah.
Mhm.
wherever we are.
Yeah, also true. But yeah, I did have that same recollection. So yeah, I think that's good. I think yeah. So
I'm ready to armor myself.
yeah, you guys have just recently sat down for long rest, and I don't remember who was on first watch. You guys can tell me because I can't remember that for shit.
I
But
think it
you
was Faith.
um,
Probably.
okay, yeah. So you guys can kind of wake each other up.
I mean, I see the last roll I made was with the flute, so I'm wondering if I was trying to. I think I was trying to lull the kids to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But with those things running through, I'll just hit a sharp note to wake everybody up.
Okay.
I will not whistle into my mic to
Yeah.
save people the bleeding ears.
Please don't. Yeah. So you guys all are roused by this sound and these raptors kind of running through the camp.
All I can picture is Yinkin hearing this sharp note, opening both eyes, and a little raptor runs past him, stops a minute, looks, they look at each other and run away, and Yinkin just going, Did am I still asleep?
Nope. Up and at 'em. Let's go.
Yeah. So what do you guys do?
Jump up, look around.
They're running towards the sound.
What the hell are those things?
They look like birds without feathers, if you ask me.
What the hell was the large thing? What's shaking the ground?
Started just before they came running through.
Maybe we should go after them.
Or should we run the other
Or
way?
move away from them, yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as the direction they're heading in relevance to the village, like, we came from, are they heading back towards where the hag was? Or, like, perpendicular to that?
Yeah, we could just say that they're kind of east, like the hag's village, as we'll call it, was like northeast. More northern. They're running more eastern. And you do get the impression that this thing isn't far off. Whatever's happening is not too far from you. It's not like a mile or two away. I mean, it's pretty close. You can't really see much just because of how dense the jungle is, but you do get the impression it's pretty close to all of you.
Aglaya, any opinions, any advice? You know the Fae.
She just sort of shrugs.
I'd like to go look.
The beasts, they fight. This is what they do. It is best to stay out of their way, I think. But... And you see, she seems distracted because her eyes are more or less locked onto the Darkling.
I'm gonna walk up between her and the Darkling. Aglaya, is this normal?
And you get the impression from the look on her face, she doesn't know if you mean the fighting, like the raptors, or the Darkling.
The creatures, the sound, whatever's happening around us, not the thing behind me.
She shrugs. As I said, things fight sometimes.
How wonderfully vague.
Yinkin, are you going to go investigate?
Yeah, I'll just turn everybody. I will go look just quickly, and if it's just beasts fighting, I'll come back. If it's not just beasts fighting, I'll still come back, but with a warning.
Okay.
How are you gonna go look, as a person or as a beast?
I think I'm going to go as a person. I don't want to present myself as another predator. That might draw me into the fight.
If you're not back in 10 minutes, we're coming looking.
Fair enough, I suppose.
Okay. So Yinkin, are you going to try to stealth? Are you going quietly?
Oh yes, no, I'm definitely trying not to be noticed.
Sure. Okay. Stealth roll, please.
As soon as my character sheet stops being stupid. That being said, I'm also just in case we have to make a hasty exit. So on everybody before I leave.
Okay.
So 15.
Okay.
Well, do you have the
Oh, that's right. I have the
cloak?
cloak as well.
Yeah,
so
so
26.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you guys all watch as Yinkin sort of disappears into the foliage. Yinkin, you start to make your way through in the direction of the sound, and it's not hard to find. It's not hard for you to follow. It'll take you just a couple minutes to kind of move through the density of the jungle to get there. Is anyone else doing anything in the meantime, or do you just want to see what he sees?
Wherever the kids are at, whether they're sleeping or not, I want to go by them in case we need to make a hasty retreat.
Okay.
I can just kind of snatch them up.
I can assist with that.
Yeah, the three of the other children they're not asleep. This has woken them up as well. And of course the Darkling is still unconscious, bound. One of the children seems to be more drawn to watching the Darkling, but they aren't acting on it, at least. Giselle, are you doing anything?
Just besides putting mage armor on myself, not really.
Okay.
Gonna watch and see what happens.
Okay. So Yinkin, you start to move through the trees, and a couple more raptors kind of find their way past you from the sides that they wouldn't have had to run straight through the camp, and you can kind of follow their tracks as they run through, and you see here as you're passing through, some of the trees have been knocked down, and there's breakage and what have you, big tracks in the ground, and you cut through, and you finally are able to see. You kind of like move that big leaf past your face, and you look through, and you see there's this opening, and you see all of these raptors that are surrounding and climbing on top of this quite large beast. It looks similar to them, reptilian in size, but huge in scale. And they're all sort of clawing and biting at it, and it's bleeding. Yeah, it's clearly a combat. There's, the large creature is trying to fight them off and like whipping its head around to throw them off, and they're all the raptors are coming together to try to pull it down.
I will just watch this in fascination for a few minutes, just because these are predators I've never seen, and very rarely do I see predators attack other predators. Bleh.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
only spend about 5 minutes watching before making my way back to the party.
Okay. Yeah. So you're kind of watching this, and the large creature seems to be. It's just so large and dense that the raptors are having difficulty. There's a lot of them, and there's at least a dozen that are on this thing trying to pull it down. And you see the large creature. It's kind of graceful in its movements, but you notice that it for lack of a better descriptor, it looks like it's getting a little scared, like it's a little frightened. It's starting to panic a bit, stomping around more, starting to let out these like screeching sounds that the rest of you can hear, but at a distance. And it's almost like the large creature is looking around for help or something. Like it's looking for a way out. Oops. So it just mostly looks panicked.
I'm genuinely deciding if I'm trying to help a T-Rex or not. But because just based on the timeline, do I have time to go get the party and come back, or is this thing bound for death if I leave?
You could give me I don't know, oh god, nature, medicine to see if you think you have time. That's
Medicine.
difficult to say. You've never seen a creature like this before.
That's kind of what I expected. I'm an idiot. I am going to cast Speak with Animals really quickly.
Okay, sure. What do you say?
Just
And I imagine this is probably gonna. It depends on what you do, but I mean, there's a good chance it's gonna break your stealth.
actually, it's more the ability to comprehend. I want to hear: is the pack of small creatures like just bringing this creature down? Did it threaten them? What's the chatter, so to speak?
Oh, okay. This is good. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. So, yeah. So you just cast this spell, and you hear the raptors, and they have these like tiny voices, and they're just sort of yelling at each other, like grab the leg, and they're trying to like give each other strategy, and then you hear this massive creature kind of yell out. And when it gets translated through your spell, you hear it say, Go away, shoo! I don't want you, go away, what are you doing? And it just keeps saying stuff like that over and over again. I did nothing to deserve this, what? I was just taking a stroll, what's the matter with you? Go away!
So refined.
I love it. I must not say the British T-Rex.
British T-Rex. I absolutely love it.
God, it's the Spanish Inquisition on a T-Rex.
So yeah,
I'm gonna post this before anyone. Oh, damn it! I can't. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I'm curious what you were gonna say now.
No, I was gonna. I'm trying to post something in Discord, but I realized because I know someone's gonna try to beat me to it. Anyway, what are you doing?
I am going to tell the big thing to go left, so to speak, because I have the strangest feeling he can move a little bit more easily, and I'm going to spike growth pretty much behind him so that the little raptors get shredded if they try and follow, and then I'm going to run like hell.
So you tell the big creature to go left. Yeah, so basically the raptors, your spike growth is going to trap them. Like if a couple of them are going to try to run and literally get shredded and pulled down. Like they're not strong enough to withstand the spike growth. And the large creature, the sort of starts to move, and then you see it look around. Does it? I mean, it probably can't know where you are, right? Or you?
I imagine I broke stealth when I both yelled and did spike growth.
Oh, okay, yeah. And so a couple of the raptors look at you. And the large creature just says, "Oh, you there? Well, good evening. Yes, of course." And just sort of like starts to trot off, like not run. Just like starts to and just starts to trot off in the direction you indicate. And a couple of the raptors start squealing as they're getting like pulled down from the spike growth and getting torn apart. And I think the large creature kind of turns back. He's like, good evening, and just like continues walking away.
Good evening. Strange day.
And the creature kind of like, do you meet it?
I would not overly close because that thing. I'm assuming if it's what I think it is, it has very large teeth.
Very large teeth, in fact, yes.
So yeah, I'm not getting within biting distance, but I'm letting it get out.
Yeah, so it just sort of walks away, and it looks back, and it kind of looks almost mournfully at the raptors and the spike growth. And then just, turns and begins to walk walk away
safe
from
travels.
them. And, like, it stops and turns to you, and it says, well, thank you. It's unusual to meet a sort such as you.
You're
Thank
the
you.
first of like such as you I've met too. So day for firsts. My
And
name's Yinkin, and good travels.
Oh, well, it's nice to meet you, Yinkin. I'm the first elf you've met.
I'm sorry. What?
Oh, well.
Oh my god.
I was wondering.
Becky, look at her butt.
I was wondering when one of you would figure it out. He says, yes, what the Fae is filled with elves, but
You are very, very much taller than I am an elf. You're very tall. Not to mention, you have very short arms.
oh
and very
dear.
big teeth.
Oh dear. Yes. Oh, that's why they were. Oh dear. Oh no. And he like
I gotta know.
the creature turns back and looks at the raptors, who have basically all torn themselves to shreds. Oh, I'm going to have to. Oh dear. And like his whole body begins to turn back to look at you, and as it turns, it begins to change. His head shrinks. The talons somehow stay the same size but move in their position. Talons, not talons, arms. And the whole thing shrinks down, and it takes only a beat. It's very fast. And you've witnessed this kind of transformation. You've taken a transformation such as this. Nothing quite as large. And you're left standing, staring at an elf who's about your height, average build, mostly wearing greens and browns, has a thin kind of, oh no, he wouldn't, long hair that's unkept. So there's like almost natural dreads that have started to form. And he wears kind of a, like a messenger bag kind of bag. He doesn't have like a big backpack on. And he's just staring at you. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Yinkin. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm called Talvin.
Moment of shock before nodding and offering hand.
This has been quite an evening. Well, you know, the Fae.
No, I don't actually.
Oh,
I've
what's
only
it?
just gotten here recently.
Oh, are you sure? Oh no, sorry, that's not terribly funny. I feel terrible. Will you just give me but a moment, please? And he turns back and he kind of like waves his hand, and your spikes just like withdraw. Like he just dispels them; they're gone. And he begins to walk over, and a couple of the raptors are still like struggling. And he sort of like starts to pet them and try to move any sort of barbs or things around them. A couple of them clearly are dead, and he sort of like moves those ones very gently. And he starts like, he just turns away from you and begins to do this. He's doing something with the raptors, and he's being very gentle with them. What are you doing while he does this?
Again, a moment of more or less confusion, because this is not at all how I expected to meet a druid, even if he was described as eccentric. And then I will go over and just watch what he's doing, because again, you learn by watching.
Yeah, and he's gently removing the ones that are wounded, and he's sort of putting them off to the side. The ones that are no longer alive, he's moving them off separately, being very gentle all the while. He starts to tend to the ones that are alive. He looks at their wounds. and they don't seem afraid. Like they're afraid in the sense that they were almost just killed, but they don't seem afraid of him. And he's talking to them in a very like low, quiet voice and apologizing and like asking for their forgiveness. And he's like petting them, and he pulls out of his bag a kind of like, it's not quite cloth, but it's something akin to it. And he starts like wrapping one of their legs. And this takes like, he's working on this like 10, 15, 20 minutes. And he keeps talking to them, and he's just trying to coo them and quiet them and keep them calm. So while this is happening, like everyone else, Yinkin just disappeared. You've heard clearly the fighting has stopped. Whatever was happening is done. What are the rest of you doing?
Yinkin should be back by now.
It's definitely been 10 minutes. I'm gonna go after him.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, and I look to Aglaya and the Darkling and the kids, and I say, I mean, some of us should probably stay here with the kids.
Very true.
There's no way Aglaya's gonna stay. I'll stay
No.
and watch the children.
You sure?
Unless you want me to go.
My concern is, I mean, anybody who can tend to wounds. I mean, I'll stay if you'd rather go.
I can stay if you all are going. But I will kill her if she hurts the kids.
Yeah, as long as someone stays, that's what's important. I'd actually much rather check on Yinkin, to be honest.
I'll
stay
stay then.
Or she can stay.
Okay.
You go. You have healing as well.
All right.
Okay. So Giselle, you stay behind. Everyone else, you gotta sort of make your way through the jungle that you saw Yinkin go. And before long, Yinkin, you can hear the breaking of foliage and things behind you as your comrades appear. And the elf called Talvin is still working away with the raptors.
Seeing them come up, I will walk over to them from where I was next to Talvin. So, that's Talvin.
You found him? Is that what these things were running towards?
Yes, they were. He was much larger a few minutes ago. Picture those little tiny things, but 20 times the size.
And Faith's brow furrows for a moment before she can make the connection between what Yinkin does.
I don't think I can picture that. 20 times the size of one of those?
Yeah.
Prove it. Pictures or it never happened.
I used Druidcraft to make a little tiny T-Rex out of vines in my hand.
That's 20 times smaller.
Well, no offense, but this seems extremely convenient that we just happened to run across the one person we were looking for without even looking for him.
Not necessarily. We were told he was last seen up this way.
Yeah, I had put the spikes down to try and get him away from the small creatures, and they're not particular. I thought they were slightly sturdier than they are. He's tending to the wounded, and I don't know quite what he's doing with the dead.
We're referring to the animals that ran through the camp.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't suppose you had a chance to ask him what he was doing as a creature 20 times their size.
When I
Stomping
cast
through the
my
Feywilds.
ability to understand animals, apparently he was just out for a stroll and forgotten he had switched shapes, which is now something I'm genuinely terrified will happen to me one day.
Well, at least we're here to remind you for now.
And Talvin is kind of like wrapping up, and he seems to have mended a couple of the raptors enough that they're able to like saunter off into the jungle. And And he stands up and he has a smile on his face and like a small, like his eyes are kind of watery, and he's like legitimately waving to them like they're getting on a cruise ship. Like, bye, bye. And then he kind of like looks over at the other ones that have passed, and he kind of just arranges their body in a sort of small, not a pile, but kind of a small circle. And he turns and looks at all of you and, oh, were there that many of you before?
Yes, we were just farther off.
Oh. Well, yes. Well, if that will be all,
Actually, sir, we were looking for you.
Oh, well, it seems that you've found me. But, here's a quandary. I wish not to be found. So, if you could unfind me, I will be on my way.
Why do you not want to be found? And, quite frankly, I'm really hoping someone can explain this to me. And with that, I will, again, just cast a little druidcraft to just show the magic in my hand, because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Oh, well, that's a terrible shame. I'm sure, you appear to be quite young, I think. I'm sure you'll live long enough to find a teacher. So, with that, ladies, gentlemen,
Why don't you want to be found?
well, that's a rather private question. And I don't even know your name.
Faith, why don't you want to be found?
I didn't ask for your name. Oh dear. Well, I just, I'm old and tired, and people, well...
Tire you more?
Yes, a polite way to put it, and, I just like to be alone. Always getting dragged about. It's enough, enough. But,
Well, I guess he doesn't want to help us save the Fae, then. We should let him be on his way.
yes, that, exactly that.
Once the Fae dies, we can deal with it from there.
Talvin, are you aware that it's not just us that's looking for you? There is what at least seems to me is a pretty important person to the Fae by the name of Darina.
Oh, well,
Who wanted us to find you.
but you have to understand, sir, that everyone wants to find me all the time, and if I responded to all those requests, well, I would never be able to take a walk. I would never...
This person seemed particularly important. They called her a...
Yes, I
Vila?
know she's Vila. I know. And
Vila?
yes, but importance is unimportant. It's just meaningless. We ascribe these things to people. It's complicated.
You're not willing to teach me, that's fine. You're not willing to get involved, that's fine. May I ask a favor in repayment of preventing you from being eaten, then? And for the record, if you can help, you'll be on your way, hopefully in less than 12 hours.
I suppose I owe you something.
We recently rescued a number of children from a extraordinarily foul-looking, I'm going to say female and be as polite as possible, but they are sick and I cannot help them.
Well, what...
And quite frankly, the other denizens of the Fae we've met so far, the one that has been guiding us says we should just kill them outright, and I refuse to allow that to happen without at least trying.
These are the workings of the Fae, and I...
How about you just come to the camp with us? It's only a few minutes that way. See what
Just
we're
look is all
asking
I'm asking.
for, and if you want no part in it, then so be it.
Fine.
Thank you.
And he kind of like turns his back on all of you and begins to basically speak some words over the bodies of the raptors. And it just takes, a moment or two. And he finishes up and kind of turns back to look at all of you as if to gesture, on with it wherever you wish, wherever we're going.
Lead him back to camp, I guess.
Okay. So you guys like lead him back through and head back to camp. And yeah, Giselle, have you been doing anything while they've been gone? Like anything specific?
Keeping an eye on Aglaia.
Yeah, and Aglaia is definitely keeping her eyes on the Darkling, but she's not. She doesn't seem like she's in the mood where she would just like try to spear the thing. Like you guys have said, you're going to try to do what you want to do, and she wants to give you that opportunity. She's super unhappy about it, but she knows well enough to not just like kill the thing. You've stated that that's definitely not what you want to have happen. So she will respect that. So yeah, Giselle, you see your friends coming back through, all of you, and Talvin in tow. What do you do?
Someone new.
Giselle, meet Talvin.
Oh, the Talvin.
Yes.
For now.
Hopefully not the only. So, a lovely camp then. And just clearly making awkward small talk, like doesn't know what to say.
What's Aglaia's response to his appearing?
She kind of lights up. Like her eyes go a bit wide. And I think he probably sees this, and you see him, like, his whole body kind of droops a little bit. Not like someone's excited to see him and he's not excited to be seen, as has been established.
Mm-hmm.
And Aglaia kind of walks over. It is you. You are found. And he just like shakes his head. Yes, well, it would seem. You must help us. You must help. Sir Talvin, you the stories about you abound, and
Aglaia.
He raises his hand to her, and she silences immediately. And he says, "Calm, please. I just a moment." And like you can see, she's like full to bursting. Like she's so excited. What do you say? What do you do?
Mr. Talvin, I don't know how you prefer to be addressed. Just please, the children are over this way.
And he kind of like looks and walks over to them.
And this is what happened to one of them already. I point to the...
Yeah, and he kind of bypasses that one. Like he sees it, acknowledges it, and keeps walking. And he looks at the children. And he says, and you explained to him, right, that this was the hag's work?
I didn't know it was actually called a hag, but I described the creature, yeah.
Right, yeah. So he says, he kind of nods. What do you wish I would do here?
Explain, please, and if possible, help.
The only thing we've been told is that they're too far gone to be saved, to be helped, and that they wouldn't be functioning in society.
And
I think they deserve a chance.
Yeah, Aglaia kind of starts babbling to Talvin, saying like, the hag, she did things, they saw things. And like, again, Talvin kind of raises his hand to silence her. He says, hags are very dangerous, especially that one. I'm sure that these children have seen things that would turn a grown man inside out. But elves, and he kind of like looks around the group and sees a couple of you aren't elves. He says, people are resilient, and can bounce back from such things with help and family support. I can help in my own way, but it will be difficult for them. There's no telling. You've already seen the effects. Kind of gestures to the Darkling bound on the ground.
There's no reversing that, I assume.
Not to my knowledge, no. But understand that there is no need to reverse that. Darkling is part of the Fae. It belongs here as much as I do. Or kind of gestures to Aglaia. It's unfortunate that had happened to one so young, but kind of shrugs. This is the way sometimes.
So should we let it loose?
Well, yes, it will find its own.
But harm us, though, before it escapes.
I doubt it. And, like, he kind of snaps his fingers at the Darkling, whose eyes begin to rouse. Talvin kind of looks down at him. Child, you there. And, like, you can see the Darkling squinting. You wish to go, to be free, to find your own. And the Darkling just, like, in this awful, like, dead-sounding voice, just like, yes. Yes, well.
I'll go cut it loose.
Wait, you will cut it loose?
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, Giselle goes over. Does anyone try to stop her or interfere in any way?
Nope.
Okay. So, yeah,
There's
Giselle...
nothing that can be done.
Yeah, Giselle goes over and cuts the thing loose, and it just, like, looks at all of you and sort of just, like, runs off and disappears into the jungle. Just disappears. And, Talvin looks at the other children. Well, there. You've all been through quite a lot. And the children are just... One of them seems to be, like, watching the Darkling that ran off. Like, looking in that direction.
What is the look? Is it just like a stare? Is there some kind of keenness to it? Like, can you go a little more into detail? Because he's been fixated on this thing since it changed, or even before it changed, like the kid itself.
Yeah. So what it kind of looks like, there was a connection there. Maybe between the children, maybe something deeper. It's hard to say.
Faith's gonna go over to that child in particular and kind of crouch down. What is it with that one?
He was
He's a friend to you.
He was my friend.
Friendships are good things to have, but sometimes the best thing you can do is let them go. And if it was meant to be, they'll return to you. Cherish what you had. Don't fret on what's gone past. There'll be other friends.
I guess. Still, like, looks a little sad about it.
If the kid will let her, she'll kind of just reach over and hug him.
Yeah, the child will let you hug. They won't really hug back. They're not,
Yeah.
still a little hurt. Talvin kind of, like, looks over at the other children and kneels down, and they kind of, like, look at him, and he sort of, like, brushes the one's hair out of their face, and as he's doing so, you recognize that he's casting a spell on both of the children. I don't know if any of you right away would know what it was. But they both sort of, like, have... It almost looks like you can visibly see a burden being lifted from them. They
Do an Arcana check to try and figure it out.
I don't think... Yeah, I'll let you make an Arcana check. I don't know what it'll tell you just yet, but yeah, you make the check. You might be able to tell that it's. I think you could reasonably say that it's abjuration. That it's some sort of healing, like it's restorative in some way. And that the children seem to have this weight lifted off of them, and that they're both just left kind of sitting watching him. And he kind of like walks over to the other child and reaches down and, still next to you, Faith, does the same thing. He says, I've done what I can. It would be best that they find their way to their kind.
That's where we're heading.
Which, when he says that, maybe someone picks up on the fact that it's unusual that he said that because he is their kind. But he says support and friendship, family. These things will be of great assistance to them.
Their kind, you mean other elves?
Well, yes. They are elves.
And I've already been rude once, so might as well keep with the trend. Are you insinuating that you're not an elf?
Well, of course, I'm an elf.
Their kind.
Are you insinuating they're not like other elves anymore?
It's complicated. Look, I've done what was asked of me, have I not?
We're not from the Fae, so we're trying to understand.
We actually plan to take them back to Libutara, your village, or at least
It's not my village.
a village that knows about that claims that you're from there.
Well, yes, I was, and you can see like a lot of like hesitation and like he.
Regardless of your not seeing that, I'll say regardless of your own relationship with them, do you advise against that, or are you saying there are other elves we should take these children to, or do you think that would be a good location for them?
Well, they are elves, and they're elves in Salibutara, and yes, that should be fine. Where else would you take them? Yes, and yeah, he just does not like. He's so ready to be done.
Thank you for all your help.
Yes, well, it's nice to be thanked.
So let's get the children to the village and then head back for the River King.
Yeah, that's what we have to do.
And like right as you're saying this, he begins to walk away. Like he thinks his work is done, and then you say that, and he kind of stops.
Faith kind of smirks a little bit. Problem?
No.
You sure?
Insight check.
Insight. Yeah, he's got a problem. And like he starts to walk off, and Aglaia is like, she kind of looks like she wants to cry because this is not going the way she wanted. So she sort of steps forward. She says, But Talvin, you must help. You are powerful and knowledgeable, and he kind of
He
like
mustn't do anything he doesn't want to. And if he doesn't want to help, then he doesn't want to help. But he has to leave knowing he had the opportunity and denied it.
And like for the first time, you hear what sounds like genuine anger from him as his back is to you, Faith. He says, "Do not speak to me such, child. You know nothing about me."
I wasn't speaking to you. I was speaking to Aglaia. You've made it perfectly clear you don't want to be here. I was speaking the impression I got. I asked you if there was a problem. You said no and continued walking. You don't want to be here. It's the impression I have. You don't want to help. Nothing I said is untrue from the impression you've given us and wanted to give us from the start.
And you see him just like very slightly shake his head, and he starts to walk off, like to disappear into the jungle unless someone stops him.
Talvin, I know you don't want to help or get involved, and that's your business. If, when all is said and done, I survive this, can I come find you for teaching?
And like as he's walking, he says, "You will not survive this."
Yes, well, I'm already written off for dead, so it really doesn't matter in the long run.
You're
Not what it
starting to
happened
sound like
for.
me.
I'm beginning to realize that we've been gone for months, that I have nothing that I can bring back to get my family back, and that the only thing I'll ever have to remember them by is a small doll and a ring. So, I'm beginning to lose a bit of
Faith?
my optimistic nature.
The dismissive
had to find
attitude and mentality that pretty much everyone has been pretty disturbing.
Everyone wants something fixed. And I'll look at Aglaya when I say this, and yet it seems everybody needs help to do it. Doesn't matter. We can help these kids, so let's get going. Or let's get back to bed so we can get going in the morning.
Great.
Okay, so you guys are just gonna take your rest.
Sounds like it.
Yep.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so you guys you go to rest. You take your long rest. You all go through your watches. No more raptors run through your camp throughout the night. And you wake. Are you just immediately like heading back to? Now, are you going back to the Glade, or are you trying to get to Salibutara? Because those are two different destinations.
Salibutara, because she was Aglaya was having some issue navigating us there last time, I believe, which is why it was taking a while.
Okay.
And on top of that, we didn't trust them not to just kill the kids in the glade.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So
Come on, little.
you guys travel a couple days. Oh, shit. And children seem much better, seem a lot healthier, seem almost playful with one another. Very occasionally, Faith, you will notice that child that you were kind of bonding with will sort of like look off in the distance, and then kind of return their gaze, a little disappointed, but not like totally broken. Just sort of resigned to the fact that their friend is gone. And yeah, you travel for a few days, and I think maybe on like the third day, somewhere mid to late morning, Aglaya kind of stops. And she kind of stops all of you and says, "I believe that this is a crossing. I feel it's..." And she makes a motion with her hand, but it's difficult to see. Like she doesn't have a word for it, but she feels something about it. She says, I cannot go through here. If you wish to go..." And she sort of gestures.
We have to go without you.
"I cannot pass. This is not my world."
Okay. Will you stay here and wait for us?
"I wish to return to the Glade."
Do we know about how long it'll take to get the kids to the Elven village?
No, you have no idea. You don't even know where you're going to pop out. She said that this is a crossing, but you don't know how close you're going to be now.
Do you have a way we can find the glade when we come back? This way you can go now and not have to wait for us?
She kind of like starts to shake her head. She says, "I do not know. I can always find it, but..."
It's okay. Others were supposed to be taking Chihira back. Perhaps she's still on the other side and we can come back together with whatever help the Elven village can offer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fairly certain that if Dorina really wants our help, she'll find us once we cross.
Okay. All right. So yeah, are you guys just gonna cross through?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I can see us doing. We did
Unless
come all the
anyone's-
way north.
All right. So you guys head in the direction she indicates to you. You travel straight forward for, quarter mile, half mile. At some point, maybe you've only moved a couple 100 feet. You turn back and realize that, you should be able to see a glade directly behind you, and she's not. You just see vast jungle.
Is there any way we can kind of mark this location in the woods? Is there anything distinct near us? By chance?
I think it's all jungle. If you want to try to mark it somehow, you could. That's up to you.
No, that didn't work so well when we came in to the begin with, so.
Okay.
Giselle, do you want to
Yes.
send your raven up to see if we can get an idea of where in this forest we came out?
Sure. I can send Mr. Sparkles up.
I thought it was Sprinkles.
Mr. Sparkles. Sorry. I have another one that's named Mr. Sparkles. He's a phoenix.
Okay.
Alright, I will unshunt Mr. Sparkles or Sprinkles and send him up over the canopy.
Okay. So you're trying to what? Find Sally Butara?
That and also see if there's anything that catches his eye.
Okay. You can make me have Mr. Sprinkles go up and make a perception check. Meanwhile, I do need Faith and Gabriel to make me wisdom saves.
Oh yeah, you not elves. Nope.
God damn it. Okay.
Womp womp.
Yeah. So, Gabriel, you obviously have no memory of anything that happened in the Fae. Faith, you do. I was really hoping Faith was going to be the one to fail. I feel like that would have been dramatically appropriate.
Mr. Sprinkles failed.
Mr. Sprinkles also failed. Yeah, so you get kind of a telepathic message from Mr. Sprinkles that just says, it is more jungle. What do you want?
Just go catch some bugs or something.
Okay.
I'm gonna turn him into a hamster.
Who are these children with us?
What?
Where are
What?
we?
We just
We're back in the material plane.
We just left the Fae.
What?
What?
what do you mean?
You saved these kids from a hag? Do you not remember this? It just happened yesterday.
I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
We were headed into.
We've been
But-
in the Fae for days.
Weeks almost.
When were we?
What's the
Whose
last
children
thing?
are these?
Orphans? I mean, they were kidnapped by a hag.
Would I know anything
You
about
don't?
this?
Are you okay, Gabriel?
I mean, I'm literally trying to flip through notes to figure out how long it's been since we entered the Fae.
What's the last thing you remember?
I'm not 100% sure.
Probably would have been.
You would have. Basically, I
us
feel
setting
like
out with
Yeah, I feel like Gabriel would legitimately, you would think that you just went, you were going into the Fae with Tahira, and you guys suddenly like stopped, and Tahira's gone, and you have these children.
Yeah, this was before like the red caps and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No tower. Holy cow.
You know, considering
Oh
the
my
hag thing,
God.
maybe it's good he doesn't remember.
That's hilarious.
Hold on, I have to try just because again, it's the only restoration I know.
Yeah, unfortunately, that I don't think that spell is strong enough to do it.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
so either, but it's worth a try.
I
As a
think it
like,
takes-
rephrase, as a player, I don't think so. As a character, Yinkin's got no clue.
I
think it actually
remember
takes.
I remember looking for the elves.
We found some. You don't remember a glass?
You had sent your bird up looking for this tower.
We
And
found
we
the
were
elf.
looking for the elves. The elves
Hold on.
didn't want us to search for the tower, but we went after the tower.
We found the tower.
When?
How about we catch him up as we walk?
Good
Because
idea.
we obviously don't know what's going on. This is. Why are we not? Why is only him?
I don't know.
I mean, we're Fae. Maybe it has
I'm not.
something to
I'm
do with it.
fine. I remember everything. Maybe. Nope.
Maybe
I'm not gonna
it's
go
because
there.
he's an angel.
Maybe his god has forsaken him.
Maybe we should just ask the elves to see if
Are
they
you
know
guys
anything.
fucking with me? What the what?
Are you fucking with us? Gabriel, you're the only one who doesn't remember the past 2 weeks of our very confusing, admittedly, existence within the Fae.
All right, let's just.
In your bag, don't you have iron boots?
Check your bag.
You guys put boots in my bag. Why do I have
Where would we
boots?
have gotten them?
They're creatures from the Fae. That's the souvenir you're bringing back for Jalen.
You spent so
You
long
promised
cleaning
him-
them.
Yeah, and you promised him you'd bring him a souvenir. Please tell me that jogs your memory. I'm gonna hit you over the head with that
There's
steel.
all sorts of junk in here.
Yeah.
Not only that, you should notice that Yinkin's wearing a cloak. A couple of people have new clothes.
Yeah. I mean,
There's-
I'm sure the shocker is that there are children with us right now.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, let's just.
We'll
find
explain
it.
as we go. Be content to know that you saved them.
Yay.
Considering Mr. Sprinkles was less than useful, can I climb a tree as a spider and try and get some idea of where we're trying to go?
Yeah. Sure.
So yeah. Spider up a tree.
Okay. Give me a perception check. Okay. Yeah, so you are clearly able to see out at the and it's because you've been there before and you know that really helps you figure it out. But you're able to see what looks like kind of a perch. Maybe 50 feet away. It's up in the trees. It does not sit above the canopy, but it sits pretty close that someone could use to kind of watch, almost like a deer blind or something like that up in a tree kind of thing. And in that general direction, you get the impression that you're close. You're on the outskirts, maybe of Sali Butara. Like it's maybe a couple miles from you, but you're able to gauge a direction.
Right
Here.
back down. Point. That way. We're a few miles off.
Okay.
All right then.
So we walk and talk.
Okay. So you guys begin to head back to Sully Butara and passing through the jungle, hearing normal jungle noises. And for those of you who are Fae, I think you can probably feel a difference. Like you feel like,
Now that we've transitioned twice, like
yeah, like
Yeah.
there's going into the Fae, it gives you a feeling. So it almost feels like it's something's been taken away from you. Like there's something absent here that you've been experiencing for a while. And it's not violent and it's not upsetting. I mean, it might be upsetting, but it's just kind of strange. You definitely, it's tangible for you.
it's like when you turn off a white noise machine you didn't know was on.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. So you guys start heading in, and I think you're greeted. You're still maybe a mile or so out from the village. I think you hear a bow being knocked, an arrow being knocked, and then you hear a voice that's maybe familiar to you. It's a male voice,
Oh yeah.
and the male voice says, "Good, you're back."
Did you miss us, Tariq?
Surprised.
I
I
can't.
see you haven't grown any.
I can't wait to see how the elders punish you.
4.
Before they punish us, can we at least find a place for the children that we've saved?
Probably stole them, didn't you? Kidnapped them from the Fae.
You say that again, Tariq. You come down and say it to my face so I can punch you in the nose.
You're
No,
gonna-
punch him in the nose.
You're gonna get what's coming to you. Oh, just you wait.
Wasn't he
come-
so psyched to come with us before?
Yeah, he was.
So bipolar. It's those teenage hormones, I swear.
He's also a coward, but let's just go. I'll keep heading towards the city.
So yeah, you guys head in, and you do notice as you enter, like, that, you know, you're greeted. Some of the, like, you're not greeted. Like, people are like, "Oh, hey, welcome back." It's like some of the elves notice you, and you're kind of being watched. And as you enter, Tahira actually comes and greets you. She finds you and runs towards you, and she kind of like jogs up to you and sort of like comes to a halt when she sees the children. I can't remember her voice. We have much to discuss, but what? Whose children are these?
They were kidnapped by a
mine.
hag. No, Giselle.
How long were you in there? What?
How long have we been gone?
How long since they escorted you out?
A week? 2? I don't know. Time has been troublesome. We must speak with the elders, please. But and her eyes keep her eyes keep glancing at the children. Like, what do we do with them?
Is there some place we can get some decent food for them? They've been eating nothing but berries and trail rations.
Yes,
And let's face it, they need more than that.
of course. Yes. This way, please. And she'll like escort you back into the village, and she says, "Did you want to speak with your comrades, or we should go straight to the elders?" Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And she'll kind of like find someone. The elders, the ones that Giselle actually got high with in the town center, are there because they're always there. And you know, Dharma and the crew. And she looks to you, Giselle. They're really harmless. If the children would wish to wait here, they have food and some drink. Some more appropriate for children than others.
I hope these want then that they will give them some more appropriate for children. And she kind of gives the elders a little bit of a look, like,
And Dharma like looks at you like, oh, come on, like I can, I've got grandkids, great grandkids, great grandkids. Like he knows how to, and Tahira just gives Dharma a look, and Dharma and some of the other elders are like, oh, come on, children, like, So you kind of like leave them with the grandparents, and
Before we leave them, I'm gonna just, before the kid that keeps looking back for his friend, just kind of, pat him on the head and, you'll make friends here. You'll be happy.
maybe give that one a little something.
come back to stone children. Yeah. So the elders will take the kids, and Tahira sort of begins to pull you guys away to the elders, and she says, as you're kind of moving,
Before we see them, before anything else, do you know why Gabriel can't remember anything?
oh no. Well, yes, creatures like us, and she gestures to you, Marcus, like us, like elves, we're unaffected in that way, but sometimes if we would travel into the Fae, or there are stories of adventurers who were not elven, it has an effect on them.
But only sometimes.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Perhaps a weak mind.
And to hear a very, very, like, her eyes drift to Gabriel, and then she, like, blushes, like, no, we should speak with the elders.
I agree.
I give Giselle a high five.
Well, it was a wisdom save.
Dear God. So as you're walking, Tahira is trying to explain. She's saying, she says to you guys, the elders were very happy with my return and what I told them, but I don't think that they want to send in help.
Of course they don't.
It's such a risk. I've tried so hard to compel them, but
It's okay. We get it. They were stubborn to let us go to begin with.
she says, what happened after I left?
We fought a hag.
Not a lot.
We saved these children, but Aglaia didn't want them back at her village.
We found the
said that
druid.
They would kill him, so we brought him here. And on the way, we found Talvin. And he
Who also
wanted no
doesn't
part
want to
of it.
help.
And like she stops dead in her tracks, and you say his name. She says, where is he? Why is he not with you?
He refused to help as well.
No.
Oh, yes.
But
Yes, he did.
he can't. I don't think you understand. We can't do this without. We'll
and
need.
I tried to make it very clear that we have let him know what's going on. We have asked him for help, and he turned his back on us. So
You
when
see-
this all goes to hell, he has no one to blame but himself.
Like he wasn't interested in being around people.
I got the impression he's been asked for help so many times he's wondering why no one stands on their own. Shall we?
And like you guys, I imagine you kind of like walk past, and Tahira is just like baffled, like still like why is he not here? But she doesn't say anything. So you guys make your way up into the elder's hut that you've been in before, and you just hear some like humming and a little bit of singing coming from inside the hut. And all three elders are there as they were before: Hidyat, Kasuma, and Citra. And Kasuma and Citra appear to be kind of like weaving something, or they're knitting, that kind of thing. And Hidyat appears to be like reading a book as you enter. And they all look up and see you and nod. And Hidyat, the elder male elf, speaks first. Ah, welcome back. Were you successful in your travels?
To an extent,
Oh, good.
but we need help. As Tahir has explained. Sadly, Gabriel doesn't remember what occurred, so His silver tongue is not going to help explain what's necessary.
I mean, he could fake it really, really well.
You know what? That's between him and the hag.
Ooh. The hag would never fake it. Anyway, so
No, but he might.
Gabriel's just shrugging at these comments because he has absolutely no idea what any of it is.
Just part of the
What
fun.
what hag?
Don't worry about it, dear.
you know, the hag that you impregnated. You guys could be like pushing this so hard, but you're not.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, I kind of want to go and whisper to Faith, like, let's really fuck with him.
Like, these children are yours. You had them with a hag when we were in the Fae. Anyway, so they sort of gesture for you to enter and sit if you wish to take a seat. And Kasuma speaks and she says, Tahira told us of your troubles, and you dealt with the tower, which was your goal.
And found that there's a larger underlying problem that continues to threaten everything. That the tower was just the first sign of the end, perhaps?
We don't have a standing force, dear. That's not...
But you have capable fighters.
You would take all of our fighters, all of our defenses.
Hmm.
Leave us helpless?
I
No
didn't
one
say
said
that. But we've come to warn you that things are happening. If you can spare a few to the cause now, it might save the utter destruction later. The choice is yours. You didn't want us to go in there to begin. We brought back information letting you know that it's just the beginning. You're the elders, you lead this village. So it's your choice. We're going back in to help, one way or another. It may spill over, because you're right near the veil.
And when it spills over, we're not going to be here to help because we're going to be inside.
Or if it does spill over, that means we failed because we didn't have the numbers to stop it.
Exactly.
You ask so much.
We're not asking, we're warning and letting you know that your help would be appreciated. But we're not asking for it.
And Citra kind of barks. She says, that's a request. Damn.
No, a request would be, please come help us. We're giving you the pros and cons of both sides. You can stay, you can deny it, you can keep your warriors close to home. What will eventually occur, I don't know when, I won't lie and say I do, is that the problems in the Fae, because they cannot deal with it themselves, will spill over here after they've had time to consolidate their strength.
What problems? You dealt with the tower. What else is going on?
The tower is merely an outpost of a large city. A city currently ruled by a, from what I can understand, corrupted Eladrin.
Does the name Kaliraja mean anything to you? Or Kodasenja?
And like when you say that, Hidiot actually kind of like puts his book down.
Ah, I have your attention now. Yeah.
He speaks. He
too.
says, you had my attention when you first walked into the hut. He says, sisters, you know the stories. And Citra is just like beside herself with anger, and Kasuma leans over to Hidiot and says, he can't return. He can't. It's not. And Hidiot looks to all of you. You found Talvin.
Briefly?
Where is he?
Refused to take part and wandered back into the Fae.
He's hiding from you all.
He's hiding from something.
And like suddenly Kasuma and Citra both look at Hidiot. He says, we will need him. We cannot do this without him.
Why not? People keep saying that.
I got the feeling, and Yinkin has concurred, that you always need him. You always need something from him, and that's why he hides now. He wants to live his own life, do his own thing, maybe because he's spent his entire life doing stuff for others who refuse to stand for themselves, which, quite frankly, is I've seen from my own eyes.
And he is within his rights to ask of that. More so than most.
So you better get used to the fact that he's not going to help, or not to expect his help.
And Hidyat
We've
raises
asked
his
and we're
hand
denied.
to silence you. He says, "You fail to understand, child. Let me explain. Talvin is old. Older than me." Gestures to his sisters. Kota Senja is his home. He lived there for... Just trails off. The indication is centuries, if not millennia. He was the gardener, architect. It is his home. And like you see when he says that, his sisters kind of look saddened, look grieved. And they look to him as if in a gesture of support. He says, "It was our home. His and mine." He was... kind of shakes his head. He knows it like the back of his hand. Its defenses, its structures, its allies and its enemies, they are all known to him. You're right that much was asked of him. We all asked too much, and it broke him. But I fear without him, the city and the Fae, it's lost.
He's aware of the situation. The only thing we can hope now is that if he sees the defense mounting, if he sees his people, and she'll motion to them, fighting to defend it, even without him, maybe he'll choose to help without being asked. Like you said, it's his home. But I think the choice then at this point needs to be his, not to have it asked of him. He's broken, it would seem. But I saw him with the children. I saw him with Yinkin. There's enough wit still there to recognize something. Be it what he needs to do, even maybe what he wants to do. Maybe he's given up because he spent so many years defending those who asked him to defend, who refused to defend themselves. At this point, we have to work as if he's not going to help, as if he's not going to be there. Or give up. Let this thing, this River King, take his course, take his command, and get swept away in whatever it brings. Inaction is the worst thing right now. We
And
have to do something.
Citra kind
I
of
plan on-
looks up at you, Faith, and has this like crooked smile on her face. Says to her siblings, "I like her. I think we should help. Look at the fire on her." And Kasuma just like has a smile. She says, "You've stated your case well, child. And Hidiot just folds the book, puts it down, and then begins to stand. And Kasuma says to him, "Where are you going?" "You know I must go. There is a better chance with me there. Maybe if he knows I'm there, he will come to my aid." And the sisters just sort of like resigned nod. And Hidiot says to you, Faith, "I truly hope for your sake that you're right and that he comes. But more importantly, whatever fire burns within you, I hope you one day find peace." And then he kind of like turns and heads over to like the counter and starts like just casually like cutting up a piece of fruit or a vegetable or something. And Citra says, "How much time do you need?"
Is that to us or the brother?
"No, to you, all of you."
The quicker the better.
To
man.
get back out there, I just want to make sure the children we brought back are as settled as they can be, and I'm ready to leave again.
Well, about what time is it? Because since we now actually have a daytime.
You
nighttime
actually have
cycle.
time. Yeah, I would say it's probably like late afternoon.
I don't favor walking into those woods and crossing over at night, though. So we might want
Fair.
to stay here, make sure the children get settled, and we'll take off at first light.
How much time
Not
do
a
you
bad
need?
idea. We only need 4.
All things considered, and no offense, you're slightly more frail than us, it looks.
You say that to Hidiot?
Yep.
He says, just again with his back turned, "I can handle myself."
Never said you couldn't. Just didn't know how much time you needed.
Should we arrange for a palanquin?
And there's just no response.
I'm going to learn a silence spell somehow, and I'm going to use it on you, Giselle.
I think the point that Yinkin, I almost just called you Duncan, is trying to make. We were kicked out of our home with no real chance to say goodbye. How much time do you need to make your goodbyes?
He's coming home.
Faith just kind of looks at Giselle flatly.
He says, "A day. I'm old. I am accustomed to goodbyes."
Do you mind if we use the hut at the edge of the village again?
"Of course, as long as you require it."
Thank you.
"Let us know when you wish to go."
One day, unless somebody has a argument for longer.
No, I'm fine with that.
Nope.
Okay. So you guys have about a day. What are you doing? How you spend your time?
Fate's going back to the hot spring.
Okay.
Yinkin is checking
Good
on the
idea.
kids.
Yeah, as you guys walk back down, you kind of pass the center square of the town where the elders are, and 2 of the children appear to be napping, just like on the ground. They've just curled up like by this small fire that they have, and the third child is just kind of like sitting casually next to Dharma, and as you guys turn the corner, the child is passing a pipe back to Dharma, and Dharma takes it, and he looks up at you and he kind of like smiles. "Well, welcome back. Get what you needed."
Apparently, we'll see. We're heading out though, and are you certain that's a good idea?
"Oh, don't worry about me. I smoke every day."
Not you, I'm worried about.
"Oh, don't worry about them." And he points to the other elders. He said, "They smoke every day too."
Uh-huh. Do you know a place we could get these children set up for a bit longer term? Because I have the strangest feeling that as comfortable as they look now, a bed might be a really good idea.
Oh, we'll find him, Space. Don't you worry.
Are you sure? You're not gonna, and then forget about them.
Come on, how could I forget about adorable children like this?
They do kind of smell.
Well, we have the hot springs for that.
Speaking of hot springs,
Go on.
You with
then.
me?
yes, I am going to follow Faith the rest of the way.
Okay, so the two of you,
Save me a pipe, though.
and Dharma just like takes his pipe and like gestures to you like, yep, whenever you want it. So Giselle and Faith find their way to the hot springs. Marcus, Gabriel, are you guys doing anything? I'm really curious about what Gabriel's doing.
I would probably try to find Jalen. This is where they're at, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is the town where you left them, yeah.
Yeah, I would try to find Jalen, I guess. And
Gonna give him these boots?
yeah, unceremoniously give him these boots I was told I got for him.
Jalen is actually found at the hot springs. His skin is like
Of course.
his skin is basically a raisin. It looks like he's been spending quite a bit of time here.
Okay, maybe not BRB yet. Okay then.
A little shithead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then let's see, Dala, which is her name. I think if you nobody's looking for her, but I think you would probably find her. She's taken up some work with the elves. They're kind of trying to. She's helping with the leather workers basically in town. She's kind of taken up a bit of work with them. They don't pay her, but she room and board, that kind of thing. And yeah, Jay. I think those are the only two people. Or no, who else is left? The old man
Chandra.
and Chandra.
Yeah, Chandra.
That's right. So you would find Dala working with the leather workers, and you would find Jalen still at the hot springs where he basically never left. And then there's the other two, yeah. So Gabriel, you could go find Jalen at the hot springs if you wish.
Yeah, he's the first person I would try to hunt down, just because I do remember telling him I was going to bring him something back.
Mm-hmm.
More or less telling him he was in charge while we were gone.
Okay. So yeah, you find him at the hot springs, and Giselle and Faith are already there, probably stripped down, doing their bathing thing. And you find Jalen, and he's kind of separated away from everyone else, and he kind of sees you all return, and his eyes go kind of wide, and he like runs over, covering up his bits. Like nobody here seems all that modest. Like everyone just gets naked. That's what you do. But Jalen is of course still very embarrassed. He's a young teenager. So he runs over in the direction of you, Gabriel. And he just excitedly says like, You're back. You're back. Did you? Now you took his bow, right?
I have the crossbow, but gave him my bow from.
Yeah, Faith had that creepy moment.
Right. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, that's right. So he says.
I had told him to train with the bow while we were gone. No, but I guess he just trained his one-handed.
Yeah. He was training a different skill. So he says. Well, did you bring me anything? What happened? Where were you? Where'd you go? Like just very excited, like a kid asking a bunch of questions.
Yeah, I just pull those boots out and kind of shake my head. It's like apparently something happened. For some reason, my mind was wiped. The party doesn't seem to understand why this happened to me. I'm certain that there's a story behind these, but unfortunately, you'll need to get it from one of them. And I kind of motioned to the others that are there with me. I think it's Faith and Giselle were the only ones that came.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And he just sort of looks at the boots. Why?
Our boots?
They're pretty sweet, aren't they?
Why would you bring me I don't want iron shoes. What?
All the cool kids are wearing them nowadays.
They're
like-
a souvenir.
And like he kind of turns to look at you, Giselle, and like realizes that you're disrobed and like blushes super hard, and he's like, he kind of turns away, but still talking to you, says,
She can't tell because she's basically blind without her glasses.
she says, are they magical? Are they special boots?
Well, and she's kind of squinting at him a little. They're like a trophy.
They belong to a fairy creature.
Yeah.
Gabriel fought very hard to get those for you.
What kind of fairy creature?
Small, like yourself, but strong. Those iron boots took Marcus out at the knees. They kicked me pretty hard. Things had very strong legs. You've got the bow to train your arm, these to train your legs. You'll become a powerful man someday.
Just imagine stomping on ants with those things.
And I think Gabriel, he kind of looks to you. He's looking for confirmation to see if like you agree with what they're saying. John.
Muted.
Yeah, I'm muted. Jesus. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just kind of nod along with it. Again, mind wiped, so I'm just kind of, yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, that's what happened. So he just kind of like reluctantly takes the boots, still clearly not sure about it. He kind of doesn't believe it, but like he'll take them for the moment and just think like, all right, well, you know, maybe you're telling the truth, and he'll like set them down. Yeah, so
I
you
mean,
guys,
you can see how heavy you are. You can imagine how powerful the being was that had to wear those.
I guess.
And iron's said to be a weakness of the Fae. So to be a Fae wearing iron boots? To resist one of their weaknesses? Powerful indeed.
Yeah, and you can see his face kind of just scrunching up, like he wants to believe you, but there's just like a little bit of him that's like, this kind of doesn't make sense. But yeah, he'll sort of just take the boots, and I think he probably kind of places them down like on the ground near the hot springs. Like, I mean, no one else is gonna steal his stuff. It doesn't seem like that kind of place. And then he'll just kind of like turn back and like he'll sort of like walk back into the hot springs and back into his little corner where he's been staying.
Leaning over to Giselle, I'm gonna whisper, do you think we should tell him the one about, too much and going blind? And she'll make like a rude gesture under the water.
Yeah. He'd probably actually believe you, and you might scare him. That might be funny, though.
Faith just shrugs.
Okay. So while that's happening, what Marcus, are you doing anything?
Yeah, I want to go find Tahira.
Okay. Yeah, she would probably head to maybe some of her scouts to tell them what's happening and starting to talk to prepare them for what's coming. And that's where you would find her.
Yeah, so I just want to go up and ask her, I guess get some idea of how many people she thinks she can bring. And still have safety for the village, or how many would volunteer, or...
She says, a dozen? 15, maybe. But like the elder said, we need to leave some people behind. Do you think that'll be enough?
I mean, it's better than nothing, but the problem is if we lose the people that are left behind, might be enough to the dangers of the forest, but certainly not whatever consequences that might come through the Fae. Tell you to leave your village unprotected, but I guess you'll have to weigh which is a greater threat, the dangers of the forest here or the dangers of the River King's wrath if we lose.
Well, I guess we just... And she got like her face scrunches up a little. I guess we just can't lose then. Right?
Right.
She just kind of like nods.
Also, I had another question.
Mm.
I have these bracers.
Mm-hmm.
I show them to her. I say, you probably recognize these. They help with archery.
She nods.
I'm not much of one for using bows in general. So
You wish to give them up then?
well, I'd like them to be put to good use. Although I'd also, not to seem selfish, like something in return. But things in the Fae hit pretty hard, and I've been knocked out more than I would have liked. I was wondering if there was anything you knew of here, anything like these bracers, or we picked up a few other magic items that could help make me harder to hit or a little bit tougher.
I can ask around. I myself don't carry anything like that, but there are a good many older elves around that might have something like that.
And would these bracers help you?
Well, yes, of course. I do favor a bow.
All right, I will take them off and hand them to her and say, well, as long as they help us in the fights to come, better with you than me. And if you could ask around or manage to find anything, that would be much appreciated. But that's more of a secondary concern, not so much a vital one. I'm not going to hold on to these myself and not use them just out of spite. So,
Of course, I'll see what I can do.
and just out of curiosity, is Tariq going to be one of your 15?
I can't say for sure, not yet. He's brash, but skilled. Would you prefer he not come?
No, I think he'd be a great addition.
She kind of nods. It will take a few hours yet to determine who is going, but if you think it wise to bring him, I will put forth the idea.
I think he's got something he wants to prove, and this is a perfect opportunity for it.
She nods. I'll keep that in mind.
All right, then. I will see you tomorrow when we leave.
Excellent. And she kind of like turns her attention back to her people.
And then I kill some time, take a nice stroll through the village again, and head back to our little hut.
Okay. Yinkin, are you just like tending to the children, or is there something specific you wanted to do?
After tending to the children for a bit and making sure they're as set up as they can be, I am going to wander the village a bit, just because, again, technically there's more elves here than I've seen pretty much anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And then later that night, when I think the springs will be a bit less busy, I will probably wind up going there just to be alone and to finally take a bath, because I think at this point it's been weeks.
Mm-hmm. It's probably definitely been quite some time for you, yeah.
The closest thing I've had to a bath is going across a river in the Feywild while an alligator.
No, we all bathed at the glade right before going off to save the children.
Oh yeah, but still.
Okay.
No, actually I didn't. I stood on the edge while you did that. So, regardless, bathing, but when there's no one there.
Okay.
And
Alright.
just making sure we're stocked up for whatever we can.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you guys basically, bunch of you basically bathe. Some of you walk around the town for a while, and then, yeah, the next day you will head into the Fae. What's up?
Before the night passes, actually,
Mhm.
once we're all kind of back and ready to settle down, I'm gonna nudge Marcus.
Yeah.
Can you? And she's gonna motion out the door. Just, I want to talk to you.
Sure thing.
And I'm just gonna kind of lead him outside the hut, maybe to a trees, a few trees away from everything.
As we're walking, I'll just make us walk.
Nice to be able to see the stars again.
It
Sky
is.
there.
Look, I'm not a diplomat. I can be good with words when needed, but I'm going to be frank, if you don't mind.
Okay, Frank.
And like some red touches, like deepens in her cheek.
I'm sorry. I think I was channeling Yinkin's dad humor there for a second.
Well, you did age briefly. You probably picked up some of it. But Gabrielle not remembering anything that happened in the Fae, and the explanation from Tahira has me concerned about going back in and not remembering what happens there. So with us going in, she's just gonna push you up against a tree and kiss you.
Marcus will be startled at first, but then return it.
After a minute, just step back. I just want to make sure that I know that happened and remember it happening in case something happens in there.
Yeah, okay.
Typical male response.
And again, she's still very red in the face, but she'll just kind of nod and kind of start backing away.
Faith.
Hmm?
If I can, I'll make sure you don't forget.
Thank you. Maybe if we make it out the other side, you can remind me?
I'll just give her a big smile.
And now we can go back to bed.
Yeah, you can go back to bed. Yeah, no.
Survival first, then celebration sex. Or wait.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you guys take your rest, and I think we'll take our break there if that's okay, and then we'll see you guys return to the Fae tomorrow. So yeah, we'll take like a 10-minute break. Be back.
No.
What's gonna happen? All the blood leaves. Never mind.
So, yeah. You guys take your long rest. You get up the next day, and yeah, whenever you're ready to go, basically, you will have somewhere between 12 and 15 elves with you, plus Hidyat, and you can head back to the Fae. You can try to head back to the Fae. Is there anything else anyone needs to do before you go?
That I know.
Don't believe so.
Do the elders have any good weed that they can spare for the trip?
I mean, Dharma would definitely let you like take a hit or two, but he's not going to give you like a bag to go.
He's not gonna give me like a dime bag or something.
That's
Come
just
on,
man. That's just wasted weed. Somebody going into the Fae, you're gonna get busted by narcs. You're welcome back. You're crossing not planetary, interplanary. Interplanar, yeah, state lines, and I mean that's when you get busted by the feds. So it's when a ship of Githyanki show up and bust you for illicit drugs. So yeah, is there anything else anyone needs to do before you go?
I go break the news to Yinkin that it'll never work between us.
Oh man.
Damn it, Marcus. I was so hoping.
I know you're lonely and you miss your wife, but don't give up hope. Besides, it's just you know. I just don't want you thinking there's ever going to be a chance. You know.
You were the prettiest person here.
It could never work between us. All right. So,
Not quite sure why we're having this conversation, but I'll have it in good fun.
I don't like it when Sean makes thinking noises.
you should hear my other noises.
Oh my!
Okay, so sorry, I'm drinking this kind of pop that I've never had, and it's very, very bubbly, and I'm gonna burp, and I'm trying to mute myself. Excuse me. Okay, so
That is far less romantic than the other noises I thought you meant.
yeah. So you guys are basically met by a small cavalry of elves. Hidyat is there, and he's with his sisters, and they're all sort of waiting at the edge of town. And Tahira is there, and she's kind of taken the lead with the scouts and rangers, and she kind of breaks away for a moment, and she comes to you, Marcus. She says, I've held on to this for some time. Its history is unimportant, but I don't know if it would be of any use to you. Here, and she just like thrusts this thing at you, and it's a ring, and it does look like it does.
Marcus, the ladies' man.
Yeah, he's just getting it from all sides.
Now I see why we had this conversation.
There it is. So it's a ring, and it's metallic. It's metal of a sort, and it has what appears to be on it 2 sets of like ram's horns. Looks pretty old.
Oh, dude, I'm so jealous.
Yes.
I have one of those on my. Well, I had one of those on my way. So nice.
I had one on my barbarian.
She says to you, Marcus, I've never been much for it. It's a bit gaudy for my taste, but it's yours if you'd like.
thank you. It's, looks quite impressive.
Yes. Good. And she kind of like just abruptly turns and heads back to her group. And Hidiat finishes some conversations he was having with his sisters. Says, Hidiat kind of approaches you. Is there anything else you need to do? Departures, goodbyes?
Hmm. Did anybody warn the village about the children?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Hidiat nods. Well, if that will be all, shall we? And he kind of casually like looks at his sisters, and they're not crying. They don't necessarily. They look sad, but it's more of like they know they're losing their brother kind of thing. And he nods to them, and they, acknowledge him, and he'll begin to leave the village. You all follow behind, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
I also
So,
put on the ring too.
okay. All right. So you guys head out of the village with Tahira and all of her scouts and Hidiat. And yeah, you travel back into the jungle. Very familiar territory for all of you.
Welcome to the jungle.
Do I see Tariq among the 15?
He is toward the back. He is dragging his feet, but he is coming along. He's not terribly happy. This is not going the way he wanted it to go.
That's strange. I thought he wanted to come last time. Is it just because we're involved?
I have the strangest feeling he does not like being overshadowed by newcomers.
Well, he's going to have to get used to it because we are awesome.
Your humility suits you.
Doesn't it, though?
Okay. So, you guys head into the jungle. You start moving through. Hidiat doesn't seem, the scouts and rangers have no trouble. Hidiat also seems to have very little trouble traversing the land. And you guys have grown accustomed in your travels, except for Gabriel, who suddenly forgot all about it. You travel for a few hours, several hours, in fact. And Hidiat seems to be, rather than just moving in a straight line, he appears to be kind of weaving back and forth, left and right, and he's kind of searching out. Tahira's kind of doing something similar. And it's been the matter of maybe 6 or 8 hours, and Hidiat kind of stops and beckons, and he's kind of moved away from the group a bit, and he kind of beckons to everybody. He says, I believe I found the entrance here. And those of you who are Fae, you might actually begin to feel it now. Now that you know what that feels like, because you've never had that experience before, you can sort of feel a pull. And Hidiat gestures for you all to head in a certain direction, and you can kind of feel it more strongly the closer you get. And before long, especially those among you who are Fae, you feel yourselves cross over. And you are back in the Fae. Seems like this took a lot less time than last time. Now, where is it you'd wish to head? Like, where's your? I mean, are you headed right for Kodasenja? Or are you trying to go back to the Glade?
I would think the Glade to meet up with Dorina or anybody she may have left there.
Okay.
To keep in touch.
Okay. So, Hidyat sort of gestures for you guys because you've been here more recently and sort of expects you to lead, or you know where you're going.
Can I tell where we've entered compared to where we started last time?
Or at the very least, where we exited.
Yeah. Essentially, can I pick up the path to get back to the glade? Because I know it was across the river.
And through the woods.
So, yes. To Grandmother's glade we went.
To Dorina's glade we went. Maybe I'm thinking a perception check, or maybe some kind of check here. Investigation, perhaps.
Survival? Picking up a path?
Sure, okay. Okay. So it doesn't take you long to kind of find your way, and you believe you're on the correct path for the glade. And everyone else kind of follows suit. You all hit the path, or the path you think you found. And you travel for several hours, and it's pretty strange because you left more or less first thing in the morning, but as soon as you cross over into the Fae, daylight is meaningless. Sunlight is it's always the same time. So you travel for a few hours, and you're hearing much similar sounds. The frogs and the lizards, and maybe some raptors in the distance, and we'll just montage you guys, make your way through, and before long you are actually able to find the glade. And as you find it, you hear it before you see it. And the reason for this is because there is a significant gathering at the glade, one much larger than what you've seen before. As you kind of come through, you're actually stopped rather abruptly, as there are these three small creatures that are walking in front of you in a line. Well, mostly a line. They kind of appear to be stumbling on each other. And they're all extremely drunk, and they look like leprechauns. You've seen a creature like this before. And you kind of have to stop as these leprechauns are crossing in front of you. And they all three suddenly turn to you and all flip you the finger and then take a swig of their drinks and just stumble off. And
They're so polite, aren't they?
And you see that the glade is filled with all sorts of fey creatures. You see a number of dryads. You see a number of Alseid. Aglaia is among them. You also see these goat men, the satyrs. You see, I guess I should have asked. We should have dealt with this before, but we don't. We can just retcon it. Faith, what did you do with your fairy dragon?
Last I knew, he was in the glade playing with the pixies. And
Okay,
stuff.
so
Like,
you
he
just
never
you just
came back to me before I left.
Oh, but you didn't beckon him or anything like that.
Nope. She doesn't claim any ownership to it. Like it's clung to her, and she enjoys it, but she's not trying to keep it as a pet, knowing the danger that they're in and the to and from of the Fae Fen.
Okay. So, yeah, you see, all of these different creatures. You do see pixies. You do see the fairy dragon. There's a couple sprites here. And a number of the elves. Tahira is not among them. They all look shocked. They all are wise, eyed. Oh, my God. Wide-eyed. And Hidyat just sort of steps into the glade as though he belongs there. And Tahira kind of stays with her people and ushers them in. And Aglaia is actually the one that approaches all of you, and she does so with a bit of reluctance, just because you guys had, a little bit of a fight over some children. And she bows to you. And you do notice that she seems to notice Hidyat. Her eyes are kind of pulled to him, but she doesn't say anything. She doesn't seem to react to him, but there's some recognition there, maybe. And she steps forward to all of you. You were not gone long. We have summoned many allies here. I count you among them.
That's why we're here.
Darina wants to leave quickly, within a day. Are you prepared for what's to come?
A little bit of foreknowledge about what we're walking into would be very nice.
We go to Kotasenja to fight and kill the River King.
We've never been to Kotasenja. What does it look like? What can we expect there?
What is expected of us?
We're outsiders.
Will there be any civilians in the way?
Who's the River King?
We went over this, Gabriel.
Oh, the comedic timing there was great. Well done. Yeah, you guys ask a lot of questions. She says, there are many civilians there. Elves who still call the city home. The city is large and old. Beautiful, but that is not important here. Whoa. Apparently it's about to start storming here, so in case I drop out, you'll know why. She says, it is well defended. There are many allies of the River King. He has called them to himself. What else do you wish to know?
Civilians. Should we consider them... This is not an easy question, but do we try to bypass them? If they try to stop us, do we take care of them? Consider them an ally of the River King? Or do we try to minimize those kind of incidents?
And Tahira kind of, speaks up. She says, these people are captives held there, yes? And she's just assuming. She's just leaping to an assumption. She says, but these are elves. We cannot hurt them. It's almost like she's asking, requesting rather than telling. Aglaya says, we are not sure about their allegiance. We can only assume that some of them are his supporters, but she kind of shrugs. I do not know.
Understood.
Is there a hidden way into the city we can use, or an unused way to bypass them? I mean, I don't want to have to slog through everything to get to one person. That seems doomed to failure from the start.
If there is an unused way into the city, I do not know it.
Fair enough. Worth a try. I'd assume no one else knows either. I mean,
We know who would know, but as
Is
we
there no-
discussed, he needs to choose to help us.
It is the city. Is entrance in and out forbidden? Could we not just get in through the main gate?
Yes, there is a main gate. That's how I thought we would approach, but if you have other plans...
Would that alert anybody that we don't want to?
Going through the main gate?
Yes.
I-
Guards be on the lookout for us.
I do not think there is any way for us to get into the city that they will not know. The River King has... His vision is long. I believe he will know we were coming. This is not about this for me, or was never about surprise. This was about... We have to fight. This will not be easy, and people will die. If you are not prepared for this...
oh no, just trying to minimize the number of people who die. Quite frankly, I think there's enough animals, beings, people out there causing death, that we could try and preserve some life.
She says, as long as you are prepared for what's to come.
We're as prepared as we can be, all things considered.
I believe that Darina would speak with you. And you see that, like, Hidyat has approached Darina directly, like, beeline for her, and they've been having a conversation while you've been speaking with Aglaya. And it seems to be heated, but not anywhere near coming to blows. But it seems like there's an argument happening between them. And Aglaya just sort of, like, turns to look and sees them kind of arguing. She says, I might give her a moment to calm herself, but she would speak with you.
Okay.
So we'll give her a moment.
So yeah, you see that she's having this conversation with Hidyat, and they sort of break off, and he kind of walks away, and he goes and steps out and walks over to the body of water here in the glade, and just kind of like stares into it. And she's kind of pacing back and forth for a moment, and but you have an opening if you wish to go speak with her.
Yeah, I mean, I'll head
Sure.
over.
Yeah. And so you see there's a couple other, like, Al-Sayed and Dryads that are kind of, like, hovering about her, but as you approach, they sort of, like, scatter a little bit. She nods. Welcome back. Are you prepared for what's to come?
As much as we can be with the vague information that we have. I'm afraid our companion here lost what memory he had of our first visit.
I see. And she kind of, like, looks at you for a moment, Gabriel. I do not know if it is important that his memories return to him.
Maybe it's for the best.
I just need to know who's on our side.
She
Everyone
kind of,
here.
yeah, she kind of gestures around. These are your allies. My plan is to approach the city from the front. We will have groups. It's said that there are many allies of the River King in the city. He has shadow elves and darklings, boggles, and the crows find themselves quite loyal to him. He has spies around as well. I believe you've had interactions with them before.
We have.
Unfortunately.
I suspect that once a fight breaks out, it will consume the city. Do you believe yourself strong enough to defeat the River King alone?
Given that we know next to nothing about him, I have no idea.
He is powerful and old. His magic is strong, his connection to the Fae.
If perhaps you could, I believe we took out his knight, or 3 of his knights. When you were captured, can you compare strengths, perhaps? Draw some kind of comparison?
Those knights do not belong to the River King, but yes. He is considerably stronger than them. But
We kick their butts pretty easily.
Their strength was unusual, though. It matters not.
I'm going to naively say this, I suppose, but I'm assuming there's no reasoning with him at this point, and that it's been attempted already.
The River King is likely to negotiate with you, to try. He is very clever. But you must not believe his lies.
And which lies would those be? I meant have you attempted to negotiate with him.
I know not which lies he would pass. He is conniving. Ancient Fae. Not to be trusted. You must be on alert at all times with him. He will try to sway you to his side.
And what side is that? What does he want? What will he try to convince us of?
If history is any indicator, he will convince you that he is your ally, that he has your interests at heart. His argument will be compelling. But remember, the fate of my world and yours are at stake.
I am well aware of that.
Can I insight check her?
What are you trying to insight exactly?
Everything she just said is everything she said he's going to do. She's making a compelling argument that our interests are aligned with hers. Are we being played?
I'm not going to let you make it. Here's going to be my ruling. If you want to believe that, you go right ahead. Like, I don't think an insight check is necessarily going to... I mean, that's... She's trying to make a case for her side. She's saying he's going to do the same. Ultimately, it's going to be your decision.
That's fair enough.
That's kind of insinuating that maybe they're both telling the truth, though.
If that's what you want to believe.
But we've seen his allies. We've seen what kind of harm they do, what kind of aggression they breed, versus these creatures that we've allied ourselves with have not.
But she tried to kill 5 children?
That, as even Tab, the druid said, is the way of the Fae. We disagree with that, and when we argued it, Aglaya let us do as we pleased. She did not force the issue much. She kept a vigilant lookout based on her beliefs. But beyond that, she didn't try to stab them while we slept. She wanted nothing to do with them, but that's a fair way to handle the situation, if you ask me.
Well, your moral compass is better than mine.
Wouldn't go that far.
Tarina, you said that you expect the city, or the fighting will overtake the city. Do you think that people in the city will see that there is a fight happening and some will rise up and some will not? I mean, or are you expecting your own, people around here to take care of all? Like, it sounds like this is a big city. I'm looking around. I'm not seeing a city's worth of an attacking force here. So do you expect the people of the city to help or to just stand by?
Unfortunately, I cannot know that. I expect it's reasonable to assume that some will fight with us, some will fight against us. I have no way of knowing.
I don't suppose you had any luck finding your kin.
I did. They will be joining us shortly. They will meet us on the way.
Wonderful.
We'll need all the help we can get here.
Maybe that old druid will notice what's going on and
Maybe
decide to
Senpai
stand
will
by
notice
is not
us.
an option anymore.
Are you saying that to anyone in particular, or just kind of saying it
Just
out
out loud, yeah.
Okay.
We're ready when you are. If
Good.
there's nothing else you can tell us, nothing else you can give us.
Then we'll be on our way. And you see kind of like we have this scene of like you guys in the glade and the forest surrounding and that ever-present like orangish purple sky that is constantly permeating the Fae. And we see like Hideot just staring into the pond with all these other creatures kind of like ramping up and getting ready for a battle of some sort. Yeah. Cool. So are you just heading straight out? Is there anything else you want to do before?
How far away are we from Kodasenja?
A few days. Like it's on the. It's basically like the indication is that it's on the far side of the Fae, basically like far southeast.
How is Tariq doing? Is he still same?
I mean, he's kind of with his brethren. They're all staying together. Obviously, they're a little spooked by this. You know, this is pretty unusual. The heck? Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, but he and his brethren are kind of like staying together. And Tahira's kind of with them as well. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. So, that was kind of dumb of me. So yeah, do you guys just head out? You're gonna follow and make the long march to Kodasenja?
I
See
don't
no
think I
other
have
options.
options. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just messing with maps. So yeah, you begin to follow, and the Darina leads off first, and everyone follows. Nobody's running. It's not. It's basically just a fast walk, if anything, but nobody's like immediately running. And you start to make your way through the Fae, and much in the way that you've traveled before. Not seeing a whole lot for the first couple days. Hearing the same things you've heard, seeing the same things you've seen. On or about the third day, you come upon a river that is probably... It's reasonable that you would assume it's connected to the one you crossed before. Long river. And as you approach, you can see that here at this point that, you come across, you come to the river, it's white water. It's moving very, very quickly. It looks dangerous to cross, and it's quite wide. And as you guys are all approaching, everyone kind of stops, and Darina's going to start to, you've seen her do this before in the days of travel, where she indicates to people that she wants them to scout or she wants them to do this. And as you're approaching, you kind of hit the side of the river, and she's looking to some of the elves to say, like, I need you to go this way, I need you, whatever. And as you're standing there, the river sort of starts to slow itself. The white water just calms, and it almost seems to become a stream. It looks like it would be easy to cross.
The River King's doing, do you think?
And sorry, go ahead.
Well, what just happened? Looking at Darina.
She says these are his tricks. He wishes us to cross so that he can engulf us in his river. It is not safe. We must find another way round. And I think it's actually Tariq who steps forward. He says, it's not moving. We could just go now. Let's just go. And Tahira goes to stop him. And he just leaps into the river and he's going to try to swim across.
Nope.
Watching him. I'm going to cast Alter Self on myself.
Okay, I mean, he's jumping
breathing.
He's jumping into the river.
I know.
Okay. So
I'm going to cast the water breathing part on myself.
So you're going to basically give yourself gills?
Well, yeah, for now.
Okay. And
just in case.
Okay, sure. And he jumps in, and you don't jump in after him right away, though?
No, I'm going to let the idiot flounder for a while.
Okay, so his
elder's here to do that.
Yeah, and Tahira tries to grab him, and a couple of the other people, a couple of the other scouts look at him like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He jumps in. Immediately, you see him disappear below the water, and then a few moments pass where everyone's basically holding their breath, and then he pops up on the far side of the river and climbs up onto the shore, and you see him dripping off, and he just yells across, "See? It's calm. What are you waiting for?" And a couple of the other scouts kind of look at Tahira, and you can see that she wants to try to stop them.
Have you ever heard of lulling your enemy into a false sense of security, Tariq?
And he just yells across, "Coward!" And a couple of the other scouts go to jump in the water.
One at a time.
Exactly.
If this is his plan to engulf us, he won't waste it on just one. Or if he does, it'll be the most important one.
Okay. Yeah, and so...
And beware the ladies in the water. I look at Yinkin.
Mm-hmm.
Do not believe their lies.
If you see a wet tart in the water, don't take a bite.
His plan is possibly also to divide us, to split us completely in half.
Also true.
And a couple of the other scouts jump in. One jumps in, swims across. A minute passes. Everyone looks at each other. Another one jumps in, and at least 6 of these elves cross without any seeming trouble. And at this point,
and there's woods on the other side of them, correct?
It's jungle, yeah, totally.
I'd like to actually do a perception check behind them to make sure nothing's sneaking up on them, if I can.
Okay, give me a perception check. Yeah, you just see more jungle.
I'm not entirely comfortable with even one by one, because you're right. They may be waiting just for the most important.
So basically half of the elves have gone across. Tahira's still with you. She's still got 6 or so people with her. A number of the fake creatures have tried to find a way around because they obviously don't buy this. So a couple of the dryads, the satyrs, the Alsaid, they're trying to find another way around.
How about the next one takes a rope? If there's a place to secure it, maybe we tie it across.
Over the water as opposed to through it?
Yeah.
That idea?
If nothing else, it will be a secure point. I can take it across. I have gills. I can swim.
Giselle, can you look underwater and make sure that we're not being fooled by an illusion? and that those bodies
Sure.
aren't just down there with watery tarts, as you so
Sure.
lovingly called
Can
it.
I assist in this? Because I saw through the illusion of the hag. That's a brilliant idea.
Well, hang on, because that sounds like two different roles. Because if Giselle's jumping into the water, like if you want to look, Faith, to see if it's an illusion, you could do so now. But I don't think that would be helping Giselle necessarily.
I thought this was before she jumped in.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you could if you want to do that before she jumps in. I think what did we say last time? Perception or Arcana for the hag?
It's investigation to
Investigate.
determine an illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if Giselle wants to do it,
Okay.
I'm just assisting a second set of eyes.
All
But-
right. I
but
have
the
like
thing
a
is
6 in investigation, so
But she's specifically looking for bodies, right?
No, that was my suggestion.
Yeah,
I
to
don't
see
know
if
who's
there.
what.
Yeah, he suggested to make sure that this water thing is the people on the other side aren't an illusion and there's not bodies at the bottom of the water.
well, I have a swim speed of 30 right now, so I'll go down in and see what I can see. I have an investigation of 6, so I'm not too horribly worried.
I'm gonna tie the rope around your waist first, so there's no
Good
chance of
idea.
you letting it go and surprise.
We did see how Yankin handled the croc after all. They've never done this before. I'll try and go very gently into the water. I'm
Okay.
not gonna like cannonball or anything. And I'll just swim around the bottom, see if I can investigate the shore, the bottom of the river, all the way up to where the men are on the other side.
Okay. Give me an investigation.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm real good at this, guys.
So water's warm.
It's nice down here.
Yeah.
Like she just popped up on the other side. It's like, so I don't see anything.
Yeah, and like the other elves on the other side, Tariq, they'll try to help you up if you wish, like up onto the side.
She's like, I don't need your help, but thank you for the offer.
Find a place to secure the rope.
She'll hand it to Tariq. You're probably better at this than I am.
He just
She
shrugs.
just gives him a smile. Find somewhere in the trees, maybe?
So a couple of the elves will take the rope, like Tariq, and he'll grab somebody to go with him, and they'll go over to try to find some place to put the rope.
I'm going to look at the arena. Is it possible he's just trying to slow our progress by making you find a second path?
I do not know. I told you his motives. He
You
is-
know him better than we do. So only asking.
Maybe he just wants us to come so he can kick our asses. He's like an ancient king. He's probably cocky right now.
That's actually a good point.
Are you saying you're ancient because you're so cocky?
I am very cocky and we all know it.
So you are ancient. Got it.
I mean, I'm 120 compared to you guys. I'm pretty old.
Anyway, can we find a place to secure the rope?
Is he muted?
Maybe.
Yes, I was. Yeah, the elves will find a place to tie off the rope for you. Sure.
I'll go next. I'm gonna tug before I do anything to make sure this is secured on the far side. Can
Yeah.
I do like a strength check or something?
Yeah, if you want to, sure.
I'm not sure if this has my +1 tied in. I don't think it does for my stone. Oh, hey, yeah, it does.
So yeah, I mean, you pull on it. It seems to be holding.
I'll start crossing.
Okay. So, yeah, you cross the river. A number of the Fae have kind of stopped to watch because they clearly think this is a trap. And it takes Faith probably a minute or so to fully cross, but you get across with using the rope, and you cross. Water's still not really moving.
I'll use Mage Hand to bring the rope back to the other side, and I'll start doing that to start getting people over.
Okay, who's next?
I'll go next.
Okay. So yeah, using the rope, you guys can pull Marcus across. Water's still calm. It's nice and warm. Don't encounter anything. Just that gentle movement of the water through the jungle. It's kind of nice, peaceful.
Precisely why we don't trust it.
If it's gonna go for anyone, it's gonna go for Dorina.
You are so cynical, all of you. Just so you don't trust me at all.
I was gonna say
know
I want to
better.
be the absolute last person to go. I would wait until all the Tahira and Dorino, whoever's.
Can we tie? Will Dorina allow herself to be tied off to the other bank?
There's no
And
way
just have a rope and
there's no way she's crossing like this.
Fair enough.
How wide is the river?
I don't know, 50, 80 feet, something like that. It's a pretty good sized river.
How close are the trees on the opposite banks?
Probably just a few feet. A few feet back. Just gives you like a bank of just like 5 feet or so.
Would we be able to tie the rope to a tree on the other bank and just kind of hand over?
I mean, theoretically, you could try. Probably require a strength check because then you'd actually have to be.
Or tightrope walk, which would be acrobatics.
Mm-hmm.
Does Dorina seem like if she doesn't have to go in the water, if she can go over it, does that seem more
She
acceptable?
doesn't trust this. She believes unequivocally this is a trap. She thinks it's a mistake for you to be doing this. But all of you have made it across with literally no incident.
Are you afraid, Dorina?
I told you, I do not trust the River King. He is not to be trusted.
None of us do.
We need to either go over the river, around it. We have to deal with the river eventually.
And we will. We will find a way around.
Do you know a way around? This is your home, so to speak.
I will find one.
Dorina, we can't divide our forces. If the River King is as powerful as you say he is, what he wants is to split us up.
And you made the first mistake by accepting him. By crossing the river that he invited you across.
I haven't crossed it.
Your friends have. This is a mistake.
Well,
Is fighting the River King a
I see
mistake?
it as you making a mistake because you're splitting the forces if you refuse to go across.
I will make it across. I will find my own way.
How long will that take you?
I do not know, nor do I care.
I thought you wanted to fight the River King now.
Arguing is not going to get
He
us.
is always going to put up defenses. Are you going to stop at every defense? What is the point of this march if you're going to stop every time there's an obstacle?
This argument could be the reason why he did this. He's holding you up.
I think it's time we stop blaming the River King for this and start blaming who's causing the disruption. We've tried everything we can to expedite this. You're the only one being stubborn. Motives be what they are. You have your force here to defend you. If you think you're the target, we've tried to keep you above the water, out of the water. Is it the water you fear, or is it what's on this other side here?
I know the River King. This is a trap.
You're starting to sound like a broken tune.
Just leave her.
Look, the argument's invalid. Either we all cross now and you find your own way across, Dorina, if you think that will help. But if we split our forces, I don't know much about warfare, but do you really, if he's as cunning as you say, don't you think both ways are going to be a trap at this point? If you're expecting anything less, quite frankly, even I'm smarter than that. He knows, if he's as wise and as all-seeing as he's been portrayed to us, he already knows we're coming. He knows anywhere you'd make a pass, and he will have made a trap at all of them.
And you will give in to the first.
Quite frankly, if he expects you to have us go around to a stronger one, yeah, I think it might be smarter.
And you would have us waste time trying to find the least resistance.
I'm saying that you have no good options. You have to choose a poor one. You have no way of knowing which is the worst until everything is said and done.
You will
So-
cross first, I will cross after. So that when you fall, I can prove to you.
That's fine. I believe Gabriel said he wished to be last, but I'm sure he'll abide the lady. I would like the rest of the elves to go first, simply because if I need be, I can at least attempt to fight the current of the water. So, who's next?
Yeah, I mean, if you're telling Tahira and them to go, they'll go. Like half the elves
One
are
at
already.
a time.
Yeah, so they'll begin to cross one at a time, and again, they cross without any issue.
If this is what we've had to deal with for the last couple of weeks, I'm glad I don't remember it.
You're glad
Yeah.
you don't remember it.
She was a lot prettier when she wasn't a bitch.
Please don't insult our hostess, especially when she
I'm
can
on the other
probably
side.
flatten you.
Hopefully she can't hear me.
Then you couldn't hear Gabriel because he's still on the other side.
And Yinkin,
But
I
yeah.
think.
Yeah, I'm
Quite
going
frankly,
to
I
be one of
don't
the
care.
last. So.
Okay, so yeah, the elves cross. Tahira crosses without incident.
What about the random fey creatures?
I mean, some of them, like the pixies, can cross. They can fly. That's a non-issue for them. The dryads can actually. I don't think they need to cross the rope because they can just teleport through a tree. Yeah.
Did they bring anyone with them and
Wait.
bypass this entire
I
argument?
thought
No.
they could bring one person with them.
I mean, tree stride just says it doesn't. Oh, a second living. It says a second living tree. I don't think they can take. At least not according to this. Once her turn, the dryad can use 10 feet of her movement to step magic. I can just put. Or I guess I
Yeah,
can't.
tree stride is like a misty step, but
For dryads
Maybe.
through trees.
yeah,
Yeah.
the one you can take people with is the teleport via plants.
Gotcha. I never get that right, so.
Yeah, so like the
Bad
pixies
names.
can cross, the sprites can cross, the dryads can cross without incident. Mostly it's Dorina, it's the satyrs who have goat legs, and some of the drunk leprechauns are actually here, so they can't magically teleport themselves across.
I look at the satyrs. Do you have any moral quandaries about being tied and dragged across the water?
And they just kind of shrug. Like they'll let you drag them across.
Tie one off and just again pull them across. This way they're tied, and then just each time it'll take some time, but we'll get everyone across easily enough.
Okay. Yeah, so you cross the satyrs and then the pixies. Also, the Alceid actually can't cross, but if you want to tie them across, they're super unhappy about it because they have deer legs, but they'll let you do it. But they are definitely looking at Dorina. Like everyone's waiting to be the person who gets in the water and gets sucked down, and taken away. But it just doesn't happen. And basically, it's Yinkin, Gabriel, and Dorina. You guys are kind of the last ones left. And
Darina, if you're going to try to find another way around, you might as well leave now. If you're just watching us to say "I told you so," you're wasting our time. You have to
said
meet
she
us
would
on the
come
other
last.
side.
And so she says, "Then I will prove to you. My sacrifice will prove that he is a villain." and she will jump into the water without the rope. She just dives right in. And then she pops her head up, and the water's still not moving. And she's just kind of floating there for a moment with like a grimace on her face.
Take the rope.
And she just swims. She won't take the rope. She swims across slowly, expecting the water to take her, and it doesn't. And she makes it across. And people try to like help her up, and she refuses their help. She comes up on the other side. And Gabriel and Yankin, you two are left.
Do you really want to be super last, or
After you, sir.
age before beauty, I suppose? And I will. I have no problem being a little humble and grabbing the rope and getting my butt across.
Okay. So yeah, you grab the rope. It pulls you. Everyone helps. Pulls you across. No issue. Gabriel's last.
Take my turn.
Okay. And you get the rope. Your friends pull you in. You get about halfway across. And then your friends pull you the rest of the way across. And they pull you up on the shore. And everyone is crowded up on the shore. And everyone's made it across. And then you start to see the water begin to like slowly speed up. And you see the rapids come back. And everything has returned to normal. And you've all crossed the river.
Now, to be fair, the next time we come across an easy way, I'll be more suspicious. This is lulling us to a sense of...
Either that or he genuinely wants to talk, but I sincerely doubt that.
I think he's letting us know that he knows we're coming.
I also think he's inviting us now. He
Yes.
doesn't want to stop us from getting to the gates.
He's inviting us in. He's completely convinced that he has no reason to fear us. And he
How
might
about-
not have a reason to fear us.
Can we stop speculating on what an ancient Eladrin, who none of us have met or have dealings with, is thinking? Again, I barely even know what all of you are thinking, and we've been traveling together for months.
You don't want to know what I'm thinking.
I already know what you're thinking. It hasn't changed.
Oh, and what do you think I'm thinking?
That she was prettier when her attitude was unknown.
Yeah, she was. She's kind of ugly now. And she shapeshifts into a hag.
Okay.
Okay. So you guys cross the river. And as you move back, into the jungle, you find that the jungle here is much less dense. And some creeks and rivers start to appear. Small rivers, nothing white water, nothing like that. Just random bits of water that's moving its way through the jungle. And you're hearing bird song and lizards, and it doesn't feel hostile, right? It's the jungle's starting to become less dense. There's like a slight breeze. It's kind of beautiful. Like, it's in a way that maybe you've not really experienced up to this point. The trees are starting to separate out. The land is easy to traverse for you.
Is it less hot?
It is, actually. It is significantly less humid here because the trees are separated. The air has more place to move. So yeah, everything here is a bit more peaceful, a bit more, temperate.
I'll bring Mr. Sprinkles back then.
Okay, so you summon your familiar. Yeah. Do you have him do anything, or are you just summoning him back?
No, I just want him to look around. He's going to scout ahead a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, so he kind of begins to fly through, and yeah, nothing jumps out at you. And yeah, you guys are crossing, and nice temperate weather.
This is nice.
Sure. Gabriel, you doing okay?
Doing as
as well as can be expected.
He's not sick.
No, but he doesn't remember anything, so he's not as paranoid, perhaps, as the rest of us.
Yeah, I'm not
Trust me,
leading the
probably-
way. Obviously, I wouldn't have any idea where I was going, but
Also, about that hag, that was a joke. You did distract her, but not like that.
Do you want to know what she looked like?
it wouldn't bother me one way or another. Like I said, it's not something I haven't done in the past.
You slept with hags before?
Slept with people before.
You lived in Bastion just like we did. You know those people there weren't much better than hags sometimes.
True. Especially the men.
I think hags is a strictly feminine term.
Yes, well, they were just as ugly.
Fair.
Okay, so you guys continue traveling through. Wind continues to blow and the humidity drops, the temperature drops a little bit. It's still warm, but comfortable. Traveling through and you find yourselves you find a place where a couple rivers seem to come together. And they sort of merge into one, and it continues heading in kind of a southeasterly direction, the direction you presumably are going. And there's what looks like a path that follows alongside the river, within a few feet of it. And then it looks well traveled. It's flattened out. There doesn't appear to be any rocks or branches on it.
I assume this differs greatly from a lot of the paths we've seen in the Fae thus far.
Yes, absolutely.
See, now
Looks
this
like
is
a
far too
proper-
obvious.
Does it look like a proper, well-used road?
Yeah. I mean, it's well used for sure. It's not as wide as a road. You wouldn't necessarily use vehicles on it, but for walking, like it's maybe 5 to 8 feet wide,
Does
enough.
the Vila...
Go ahead.
Does the Vila know this place? This road? Or any of our Fae companions?
Yeah, a couple of them, like the satyrs especially, will go, and it seems to be like easier on their hooves, and a couple of them kind of like walk up onto the path and begin to like use it like a road, like it's something that's almost familiar to them. Hidiot actually also kind of moves over and walks on the path, and it's a path, like it's kind of a small road through the jungle.
I may advise some caution at this. It's not the water directly, but it's close enough. Stick to the far end, away from the water.
Okay.
And everybody buddy up. Stand at least 2 abreast if you can.
Marching order!
Okay. So, yeah, you guys begin to march down this path. And, you got the river next to you. The sky's kind of open. You get the nice water, or the nice, air coming off of the water that cools it. The water cools down the wind and keeps you cool.
Does this lead all the way to the city?
To whom are you speaking?
Any of the Fae people? Like, maybe Dorina? Aglaya?
Aglaya will respond to you. She says, yes, this is the road to Kotasenja. It was long said to be one of the safest roads, but anymore I do not know.
Well, nothing to do but keep on going then.
And you guys are walking down, and before long you start to hear something that sounds like music, but it doesn't take you long to figure out it. It sounds like a sound you've heard before, which is that it sounds like frogs, like ribbiting and croaking, but it's almost creating kind of a music, like a harmony. And you see like a bunch of the elves and the fae kind of stop abruptly. And this river is more or less pretty straight. It has a couple curves, but no like hard turns. And kind of down where the river curves just a little bit, you see on the far side, there's a group of bullywugs. And they're all there. They have spears. Their spears are laid down, and they've all formed a kind of like little group. There's maybe 12 of them. And this is where the music is coming from. They're singing or something like it. And as you guys kind of all stop, the bullywugs just abruptly stop. The music just stops. And they're all just staring at you. And a couple of them begin to like pick up their spears.
I cast fear on them.
No.
Or Darina, you know.
And I think like a number of them, they see you kind of like frozen, and the rest of them pick up their spears and they start running, not at you, but to the road in front of you.
Oh, they're guards. They're escorts.
Are these known allies of the River King, Darina?
Yes, I believe so. Dangerous small creatures, not to be trusted.
They're also disgusting.
Do you guys move forward to meet them?
I think at least someone should. Who wants to be our spokesperson?
Someone with more charisma than me. Who can speak to them, though?
I think we discovered last time they do speak common, yes?
They actually don't.
Oh, well.
Yeah, they only
not
speak
much help.
Bullywug.
Unless they speak Elven or Infernal. Nope, just Infernal. I'm not much help.
Don't look at me. The last time I actually spoke to frogs, they were actually frogs.
I don't have any language spells either.
I don't think I even remember facing bullywugs before.
Yes, we have in the swamp.
He forgot.
Yeah. That was this side of things, not the swamp.
I thought that was in the swamp too.
No, that was Yankee.
'Cause
Those were frogs. Those were just
Those
frogs.
were the frogs.
Not
Those were
frog
just frog. Okay.
All right then, I'll go then. If no one else,
If you
I'll
think
go. I'll have started walking while you guys are trying to figure out what language frogs speak.
Okay, so Marcus, you began to walk in it, and they're probably good. I would say at least 50 feet ahead of you, maybe more. So you can't really see what they're doing, but they've all come together in this group to meet you at the road. And the closer you get, you see that none of them are holding their spears now, and they've all moved to the sides of the road. And as you approach, you see that for some reason here, the road it got. Maybe there was like a hard rain or something happened. Some of the road here is muddy and gross, like it needs repaired, basically. The bullywugs have, as you approach, you realize they've all stepped away closer to the water. But what they've done is they've taken their spears and they've laid them across the road to create like planks.
Yeah, he's inviting us in.
So yeah, I will just look to one of the bullywugs and I say, "You serve the River King."
And it like
I'll
nods.
say, okay, yeah. And he expects us.
And it like nods.
This is about as clear an invitation as it gets.
Well, hang on. Marcus is still. I want to like see.
Yeah. And Is he inviting us in?
He sort of like leans forward in a nod.
Do you know why we've come?
It doesn't respond to that.
Well, all right then. And then I will just turn around and head back. And tell them, well, they seem to have a limited understanding, but I got 3 answers. They serve the River King, he expects us, and he's inviting us in. They've even made the little path a little less muddy for us.
I'm not really surprised.
I'm gonna look to what's his name? Hidiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hidiot. And say, do you know how far we are from the city now?
Not far, I don't believe. There should be a village on the outskirts. We should come upon it soon.
All right. I say once we get to that village, we need to decide on our final approach. My guess is we won't see any sign of resistance until we do something to start the fight. And I think he will be obviously more than prepared for that, since he's been plenty prepared up till now.
I kind of just want to talk to him.
Me too.
See.
So shall we?
Yeah, I say we just move forward.
Darina, do you have a problem with this as well?
I do, but it will not stop me.
Very well. Forward ho.
Okay. So you guys pass over, and the Vollywogs have rolled their spears across the road, and thus giving you a cleaner, easier path along this section of the road. And it's only like 10 feet or so, but it seems like a nice gesture. And they all sort of wait by the river as you all cross, and they just watch this parade of Fae cross. And yeah, as soon as you all cross, they all kind of like wait for you, and then go collect their spears and go down to the river and clean off their spears, and then head back, and you can hear behind you like the music begin as they start singing again. And you travel for another, couple hours, 2-3 hours. And before long, you are on the outskirts of what appears to be a town. And it looks much like the Hag's town in the sense of like the layout and the structure, but it's not gray and nasty. It's green and lush, and there's vegetation. And as you approach, you see a couple of elves that are dressed in like thin, comfortable clothing. Men, women, children. Some of them appear to be farming or working, and a few of them like wave at you as you're coming into town.
I'd like to try and see through any possible illusions.
Okay. Investigation. Looks pretty real to you.
All right.
Yeah, so you guys start to head into this village, and you see a number of elves that are, like I said, working or doing their daily affairs. You see people farming, a couple people gardening, things like that. People working on houses or what have you. And it's getting kind of late in the day, like evening time. Marcus, you smell bread, like freshly baked bread,
Oh, sweet.
and
I start going off the path towards wherever I smell it from, like just instinctually.
I'm gonna grab him. Think with your brain, not your stomach. Remember where we are.
Yeah, and you find this sort of like it's basically a communal hall, kind of a mess hall, as it were, where people go and like meet and enjoy food. And there's food smells, herbs and spices, and this fresh bread. You see a couple elves, a couple young elves, probably like in human terms they would be like late teenagers, early adults. They come out arm in arm and they're like smiling. And they'll look at you and smile and kind of wave and walk past. And there is an older elf, older female. She's, again, in human terms, probably like 60s, mid-60s. She approaches you from the road. She's coming from further in the town. She sort of addresses all of you. Oh, welcome, strangers. Welcome. This, and she gestures around the town, is Bayangandesa.
Hello.
She smiles at you, Giselle. She's like, hello. If you'd like a place to rest your feet, you're more than welcome.
Some food would be lovely as well.
Yes, it's almost time for supper.
You can pay.
Oh, that will not be necessary. We are a communal town. We share much.
But we are not members of your towns. We would like to give you something in return.
Well, we are lovers of stories. Please, would you care to sit? And she kind of gestures into this communal hall, if you guys would like to go with her.
Sure.
And she enters first. And she heads in, and there's a bunch of tables and chairs of different sizes and shapes and benches and things for people to go sit at these tables. And she kind of gestures if you guys would like to follow her in.
You don't see any illusions, do you?
No, but this is too convenient. Again, the water was one thing. Now, as we near, I get wary.
Should we eat the food?
I'm not going to. Yankin, if you'd be so kind.
Marcus from eating the bread.
He can do as he wishes, though I have advised against it.
I can't imagine they would bring us all the way in here just to poison us.
It's not poison I'm worried about. It's not death.
Oh. Yeah, you don't remember what the hag did to those children.
Precisely.
She had them enraptured. They weren't even like. There's magic that takes over people's mind in this place.
Enthralled. Charmed. You might recognize that kind of condition, Gabriel.
Why are we even entertaining their hospitality then?
Honestly, opportunity and information, and I doubt we can force our way through. There's games that are played. I think we have to try this one.
I disagree, but that's me.
Well, you guys know more than I do. I'll follow your lead.
Is there any way you can tell the food isn't poisoned, Negan?
Not that I know of, but even if I could, I don't know. Also known as Yinkin doesn't know he has that spell on his spell list.
I can try and detect if there's magic on the food, but
Look,
And-
at this point, it's getting late. I admit this, but we should either be making our own camp. I don't. We brought a very, very small army. It's not. Even admittedly, we've seen no hostility so far. I don't like the idea of bedding down somewhere. The
Potentially
person we're
hostile.
marching against literally knows where we are and already has people in place. That's me, though.
I agree we shouldn't stay here for the night, but
But bread, though.
yeah. I actually want to go walk over to the woman that greeted us.
Mm-hmm. And she's probably talking with a couple of the younger elves that came with Tahira. She's making small talk with them.
And I just want to ask her very bluntly. I just walk up and say, "Do you know why we've come?"
Well, no. There are many reasons to come to Kota Senja. It's a beautiful city, lovely people, knowledge to gain. I'm sorry. It could be any of these or something else. Does it matter to you? Is it important?
Maybe. Did you know we were coming?
No.
Did River King make any word?
We frequently have visitors here. It's not uncommon at all.
We've come to kill the River King.
And for a moment, her face kind of drops. What? I'm sorry? What? You must be joking. Why would you say such a thing?
Because there are people outside of Kota Senja who suffer much. And don't believe the River King is truly doing what's best.
You have proof that the River King has done this? I don't understand.
That's a hard thing to answer. We don't necessarily we have proof of suffering, and we have reason to believe it is caused by the River King.
That is a substantial accusation. You would kill him without proof, without speaking to him? I mean...
That is another good question. My friends and I are attempting to put back what was broken during the Sundering. And if I see no recognition with that word, I'll use the word the elves used in Elvish. And then if I see no thing of that, I'll say, the war 100 years ago that broke the plains. I'll just, until I see some look of recognition.
Yeah, she knows to what you're referring.
Yeah.
That's a lofty goal. I applaud your efforts. I just still yet fail to understand how this is the River King's doing. I'm sure if you speak with him, all will be made clear. She still has like a look of bafflement on her face.
Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. And maybe we'll kill him. Maybe we won't. It's hard to say at this point.
Well, I would, in all things, advise patience and wisdom. I would just not wish you to go in with so much haste, to be resigned to the idea of killing the River King. Kali Raja is, in my experience, a good man, noble and honorable. But you must determine this for yourself. And if you don't say anything further, she'll kind of like go back to talking to the other elves, or find someone else with him just to make small talk.
Yeah, I'll return to the group and say, well, I don't think this is a trap for us, but I think everything that has happened is designed to give us doubt. And maybe it's justifiable.
A thought occurs. Oh gosh, now I can't think of his name. Hidiot.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned with your sisters that it wasn't possible that he should be able to come back. I assume you were speaking of the River King?
Well, yes, of course.
What exactly happened before? What was his original undoing, so to say?
These stories are ancient. Almost before my time, if you can believe it. The Fey Lords, of which there are several, they didn't always get along. And there was a time when they fought each other. This was long before the Sundering, as you call it. Each of the lords ruled over a great city, sometimes nations. Powerful lords. But a time came and the lords went to war with one another, and it was said that the River King came out victorious. Different stories emerged about why or how. It was always said that the River King loved his people. But some people wanted to fight his rule, and as you well know, in war, kind of just like lets it trail off. The River King was deposed. It was thought that that would be the end of him. Other Fey Lords would rise and fall as they do. I never dreamed of a day when he would return.
So he never actually did anything to warrant this?
To warrant what, child?
Being deposed. What did he do that made people so mad that they wanted him out of power?
was
How is he evil?
it was said that he was quick-tempered to those that would threaten his domain.
Good temper is not a reason to consider someone evil.
And to those that simply lived within his domain?
Again, the stories are old, but it was said that he was beloved by his people.
As long as they didn't make him angry.
And he kind of like looks at Marcus and nods and smiles.
This may be a tenuous connection, but Baba Yaga, how does she play into all this, since it is the Vila who seem to want to unite against this River Lord?
Well, that is a complicated tale. Baba Yaga is powerful. The Vila are said to be her children, but the horsemen were her servants. When the sundering happened, I believe that and kind of shrugs as if he's not sure about the wording, says, I believe it affected Baba Yaga, possibly broke her. But this is only my speculation.
Okay, and we fought the horsemen at the tower, clearly corrupted since they had captured Darina. I'm not sure, I guess, how the River Lord then becomes the problem if Baba Yaga is the one that's broken, unless you assume something in her broken state of madness has corrupted the River Lord?
I don't know.
Why I'm having issues suddenly with the connection, since we've seen nothing directly from the River Lord that shows hostility.
Do you not think it wise that we should speak with the River King, then?
No, I think we definitely need to speak with the River King now.
Right. I guess the point I'm trying to make is perhaps we should speak with him before we take any hostile action one way or another. Distrustful though we may be, and cautious, yes, but I'm starting to think that maybe he's trying to sow doubt, but until we actually speak with him, I'm suddenly not so sure if there's sides to be had here or a misunderstanding.
I agree with your wisdom. But I do not believe we should rule out that if he is a danger, we have a responsibility to the Fae.
It's a big if there.
Indeed it is.
You said quite some time ago that the Fae was bleeding over and it was causing problems for you, correct? We didn't misunderstand this?
Things were beginning to cross over, yes.
And this
Creatures.
was
Go ahead.
And this was dangerous. What kind of creatures?
Fae creatures, things that do not belong in the material plane. Things that you have seen here, fought.
That's what I'm asking. What trouble were they causing besides merely showing up? Because all things considered, we showed up in the Fae. They could be looking at it the same way you're looking at the Fae creatures showing up in the
muted?
material plane.
I'm not muted now. I'm just thinking. Hidyat says, I believe you speak wisely, and these are things worth considering. The things that we're crossing over were... They do not belong. But... kind of shrugs. I do not know. Maybe you're right. Maybe... since the sundering, these things should happen.
So we're agreed. For the time being, we will be cautious but not hostile until we speak with the River King himself and have a better chance to assess his side of the story.
I think perhaps we shouldn't be leading an army, but perhaps we should be leading a bunch of mediators discussing how best to rule. Because at this point, we have too little information, and quite frankly, this is not our realm.
Also, this whole situation kind of reminds me of Bastion. Like, here is the good side, the upper city, where everyone has enough and no one gets exiled. And out there is the shit, where people are suffering and starving and, you know, creatures are running wild. It's whether or not he is evil or his acts are for the good of the realm or not. There are clearly people who feel oppressed. So I think, going in as a mediation group, definitely get us further than just attacking everything we see from here on out.
I have a horrible question that just occurred to me. You said the knights serve Baba Yaga, correct?
Yes, that is as the stories are told.
The tower was guarded by the knight. What if we're going to the wrong place? The only thing that I truly had against the River King, so to speak, is the fact that we found a dungeon full of starved and partially abused prisoners. But there was a crow there who supposedly serves the River King, and the knight who serves Baba Yaga. We don't know who was actually in charge.
Well, that's the point I was making, is that the River King may not be at fault if Baba Yaga is the one that's corrupted and then influencing him somehow. As powerful as he is, if Baba Yaga is the greater being, which was altered in the Sundering.
Baba Yaga was on the other side of the crystal orb as well.
Did we ever?
What crystal orb? Oh, wait.
The one that spoke to me.
So
Let's speak with the River King first. I think us 5 may be the best option here for mediation, since I fear, Hidyat, no offense, but you have your side in your stories, as does Darina. We are honestly just trying to do what's right with as little destruction and harm as possible. We're outsiders, which means we may be best to take both sides of the story without prior...
Bias.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And I think the scene, the episode ends with you guys in this communal hall speaking with Hidiot. And I think the camera, there's like a rack focus as it's watching the entire room, and there's a rack focus from your group speaking to Hidiot to Darina and her people, and she just has her fists, her hands balled up in fists, and she looks ready for war. And I think that's where we like hard cut to black, where we'll pick up next week.
Doreen's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, because you told her one thing, and now that thing has changed. So you're going to have to deal with that.
We didn't tell her one thing.
I didn't tell her anything.
Well, she was expecting to come kill the River King. She does not yet. You have not told her, like, oh, we're going to go talk to him. Like, that wasn't what she thought was happening. So,
But before we crossed with the Bullywugs, we did. I mean, I know I said a few of us said, like, we want to talk to him.
yeah,
First.
but
And she didn't naysay that.
Well, she does not agree with that. Like, if that's not clear, she does not agree with that. That is not why she came.
Didn't make that clear to us when that clearly our opinions changed and we said it very obviously.
Well, she's just because, I mean, I'll tell you now, like, in a meta sense, like, she didn't say it, but it should be clear, like, she's coming to kill the River King. That hasn't changed. Like, she brought soldiers for war. So that's going to be something you're going to have to deal with. Because she wants to fight. That's why she's here. You know, her full belief is that this is still a trap. So we will pick up there next week.
Yeah.
We got to convince